Chapter 694. The Mountaintop Cabin. Bali didn't think it would be something like this, so he was a bit surprised. Seeing how Yi Fei Li was waiting for an answer, Miao couldn't help but chuckle. "Of course, that's no problem. You're more than welcome," she said. Bali nodded and also chuckled. At a time like this young man was still thinking about his wife. How cute and sincere. Such a person would be a good fit to be a member of the club. "Then it's settled?" Gu Shan asked. "No problem," Bali answered. They settled the matter of Yi Fei Li on the spot. From this moment onwards, Yi Fei Li officially became a member of the Justice Iron Fist Club. "Then, what can I do in the club?" Yi Fei Li curiously asked. Do what? This question stumped the three of them. Besides fighting and looking for food, the club doesn't seem to have anything else to do. Gu Shan silently thought. What he didn't know was that Bali and Miao were also thinking the same thing. Bali cleared his throat and solemnly asked, "What are you good at?" "Gaming. My ranking in the world is very high," Yi Fei Li proudly answered. "Gaming? World ranking?" Miao was confused. Gu Shan tried to save her. "That doesn't count. Fei Li, tell me something else." Yi Fei Li scowled and thought for a while, then finally answered, "I can always stay at home. As long as there's nothing to do, I can even stay at home for a few years." Gu Shan. He completely gave up on trying to save Yi Fei Li. Miao happily clapped her hands. "That's a good thing. When we're not here, there's finally someone to take care of the super-dimensional passage for me. Haven't you always been in charge of the super-dimensional passage?" Gu Shan asked. "I've been stuck in the club for almost 1,000 years. I want to go on vacation. I want to go shopping. I want to play." Miao shouted. Bali nodded in agreement. "I haven't been to a bar or casino in a long time," he lamented. The two of them looked at Yi Fei Li and started to criticize her. Unfortunately, he's still too weak, and his knowledge of the 900 million world layers is still blank. He needs a bit more time to grow. That's right. After we fuse with the Six Paths worlds, we will bring him out to slaughter everyone and quickly evolve to the next stage. At this time, the optical computer in Gu Shan's pocket lit up. "Your Excellency, I have something to report." "Speak." The Wraith Realm's Frostflame Wraith King is leading his subordinates to quickly plunder human populations and convert humans into wraiths. On the screen, a scene appeared. The Frostflame Wraith King was giving out commands in the Wraith City. The humans that the Wraiths had plundered were all gathered and herded to a plaza, preparing to complete a large-scale conversion ritual. Gu Shan looked at the screen and asked, "Have they been constantly destroying the human realm?" "That's right, Your Excellency. The Wraith's destruction to the human realm is the greatest. Those who don't obey them are killed and eaten. Only humans who submit are allowed to live and undergo the Wraith conversion ritual," Impartial Goddess replied. Gu Shan's eyebrows slowly scrunched up. Killing intent began to rise from his body. "Seems like I can take Yi Fei Li out to slaughter everyone right now," he muttered. Miao replied, "That's easy. Just give me the coordinates of that place." Impartial Goddess gave him the coordinates. "Let's go." Miao clapped her hands. Instantly, Bali, Miao, Gu Shan, and Yi Fei Li disappeared without a trace. The Wraith City. The Frostflame Wraith King was quickly preparing for the large-scale conversion ritual. The strength of those people was too terrifying. Even from afar, it already felt like it couldn't resist them. The Frostflame Wraith King had realized that it couldn't stay in this world any longer. After this large-scale conversion is complete, it intends to return to the Wraith Realm and won't be able to return for a while. "Very well. Now that everything is ready, begin the conversion ritual," the Frostflame Wraith King ordered. Not a single one of its subordinates answered him. The entire Wraith City was completely silent. All the Wraiths were frozen in place, unable to move even after using all their strength. The space around them had been completely solidified, not even leaving enough space for them to open their mouths. Sensing the danger, the Frostflame Wraith King immediately tried to activate a teleportation spell, but it found that it couldn't move either. A second later, a screen of light appeared. The entire Justice Iron Fist Club appeared on the plaza. Impartial Goddess, send a mechs and transport ships here to transport the rescued people back, Gu Shan ordered. "Understood, Your Excellency," Gu Shan then turned to Meow and asked, "Are you sure these wraiths won't move?" "Of course they won't move. I'll leave this place to you." "That formation is quite interesting. I'll go take a look first," Meow replied. She walked towards a large-scale warp formation. It was a spatial formation to return to the Wraith realm. "Yi Fei Li, you go," Gu Shan said. Yi Fei Li excitedly licked her lips, saying, "They're all quite strong. They'll be very useful for my evolution. Can I really kill them as I please?" "Kill them all," Gu Shan ordered. Yi Fei Li uttered a shrill cry, turning into a bloody streak of light as she leapt towards the Frost Flame Wraith King. The forgetting river soul separating hook gave off a faint yellow glow as it lightly hooked the Frost Flame Wraith King's neck. His head was separated. The Frost Flame Wraith King, the leader of the entire Wraith realm, the one who led the attack on the human realm, died without being able to resist. Boom! The red glow on Yi Fei Li's body abruptly intensified. He had obtained all of the Frost Flame Wraith King's power. How refreshing! Is this the joy of killing monsters above my level? Yi Fei Li uttered a satisfied moan. The hook flashed. Another powerful wraith was decapitated. The red glow on Yi Fei Li's body became even more intense. Bali crossed his arms, standing on one side, and asked Gu Shan, "What do you mean by killing monsters above my level?" "It's a gaming term. You don't need to pay attention to him," Gu Shan replied. "What do you plan to do next?" Bali asked again. "Since I've already killed my way here, I'll head straight to the Wraith realm and fuse that world into the human realm as well. And then, Heaven realm, Beast King realm, Azura realm, all of them are the same." One at a time, Gu Shan recalled something and said, "I can treat the Azura realm a bit more gently. They have a bitter relationship with me. That's easy," Bali nodded. Meow also returned and said, "I've fully understood the Wraith realm's warp formation. There are a few traps that only allow Wraith to pass through, but we don't need to use the warp formation. I've already obtained the location of that world. I can directly send you there." "Then let's wait for Yi Fei Li," Gu Shan said. The three of them looked back. A few dozen seconds later, Yi Fei Li had killed every wraith in the city. He knelt on the ground, roaring in pain. Strands of blood-red light manifested into threads that wrapped around Yi Fei Li like a silkworm's silk. Yi Fei Li's roars and moans were slowly cut off by the bloody veil. "The evolution is about to begin." Bali watched this and commented, "What will happen to him?" Gu Shan asked, "I also want to know, but no one can predict this. We'll have to wait until the very end to find out," Bali said with interest. Meow also smiled. This time, not only did we get to see the scenery of the Samsara world, but we also got to witness a world destroyer's evolution process. This trip wasn't in vain, Gu Shan silently thought. After Yi Fei Li evolves, I'll be able to confirm my conjecture. Following the steps, fusing the Samsara world into a single world, then searching for the secrets of the world tomb. This is a complicated and tedious process. Fortunately, with Bali and Meow here, they've been spared from large-scale battles. Gu Shan sighed. "I really want to know what the old gods hid in the Samsara world." While she was thinking, she suddenly sensed something from deep within her mind. Gu Shan tapped her inventory bag and took something out. The Tiamat bell. The bell that carried a chilling air was constantly ringing. The clear ringing of the bell continued. The Tiamat bell was ringing towards the boundless world outside. "Is she coming here?" Gu Shan doubtfully muttered to himself. But very quickly, he understood this matter. "I promised to give her a world, but I still haven't fulfilled my promise after so long. She's probably here to collect a debt. But I've also owed her for a long time. It's about time I pay her back." A few moments later, the void of space suddenly trembled. "It's fine. She's one of us," Gu Shan told Bali and Meow. As he spoke, a beautiful girl dressed in black descended from the sky. She landed in front of Gu Shan without saying a single word. Bali and Meow looked at the girl with strange expressions. They could sense the power of the laws of heaven and earth gathering around the black-clothed girl. It was a form of tacit approval, love, help, and welcome. The world was welcoming her. "Little sister, could this be the Samsara world's companion Tiamat?" Bali sent his voice and asked. It seems so. How unbelievable. This kind of life form is truly rare, Meow exclaimed in shock. Gu Qingshan took out a crystal ball. This was the world that Lola gave him. It used to belong to Trieste, but now it was in Gu Qingshan's hands. This is what I owe you. I'll pay you back now. Gu Qingshan gave the crystal ball to her. Liang received the crystal ball and seriously looked at it. The world left behind by the old gods. This was an extremely valuable world. There might be a lot of secrets that could be explored. Gu Qingshan sincerely replied, "Thank you for your help before. I hope that we'll be able to work together even more in the future." Hearing that, Li Yang smiled softly. It was now that she opened her lips and said, "I'm not here to collect a debt. Then, can't I come to you for no reason?" "Of course you can." "Very well. I actually have something to tell you." Gu Qingshan was speechless. He maintained a sincere attitude and continued to ask, "What exactly is it that required you to personally come here?" Li Yang replied, "The situation in Shenwu world is very tense right now. A war between the infinite worlds could break out at any moment. So I felt like I had to inform you." Gu Qingshan's heart sank and doubtfully asked, "War? Why would there be a war?" Hearing Gu Qingshan's question, Liang couldn't help but recall that event. Even now, she was still filled with shock and admiration. "That's because your master did something earth-shattering." Chapter 695. When the War of the Bramblebirds had just ended. At another location, deep within the 900 million world layers, an extremely barren and remote world. No one, no organization will be interested in this world. After countless years of confirmation, this world was recognized as the most barren and desolate place. Because this world had nothing could grow, but it was incredibly sturdy and hard to destroy. This world was so small that it could only hold a few hundred people at once. But today, there were actually several hundred cultivators standing here. They came from various cultivation-type worlds and had just returned from a war. They were gathered here for a secret discussion of vital importance. Silence! Silence! An old man stood in the middle of the room and loudly shouted. Everyone turned a deaf ear to him. The clouds of war were looming over everyone's minds. Many cultivators were whispering to each other, loudly discussing, blaming each other. Some of them even seemed like they were about to start a fight. In contrast to this situation, most of the cultivators were dejected, sitting there blankly without saying a word. Their eyes were blank, their bodies completely motionless, as if their souls had already left, leaving only an empty shell of a person. The old man looked around with a deep sense of loss in his eyes. But very quickly, he regained his composure. He had no choice, otherwise the entire cultivation alliance would be done for. The old man took a deep breath, gathered all of his spirit energy, and shouted, "Silence!" This shout caused the entire world to tremble. Even the void of space outside the world itself began to ripple. The cultivators' voices slowly became smaller and smaller. Taking this chance, the old man loudly declared, "I know everyone is feeling dejected and fearful right now. But this isn't the time to be dejected. We have more pressing matters to attend to." Hearing that, some of the cultivators couldn't hold back their emotions anymore and were about to speak up. The old man hurriedly reached his hand out, pointed around the room, and spoke in a low voice. "My wounds are about to erupt. Do you want me to just give up and leave right now?" As soon as he said that, the cultivators all went silent. The room went completely silent. The old man sighed tiredly, feeling a bit comforted. As everyone knows, the Cultivation Demon Nation has issued an ultimatum demanding that we immediately surrender. At a time like this, many forces are already at war, unable to even look after themselves, let alone help us. But we are true cultivators. No matter what, will you surrender to those scum and become the slaves of the Order? We won't. Definitely not. I would rather die than become a slave. You're right. The cultivators all agreed. The old man raised his voice and said again, "I must make one thing clear to everyone. The defeat of this war is all because of me alone. It was because of my incompetence in commanding and fighting that the Cultivation Alliance suffered such a huge blow." Another cultivator spoke up. "Dao Lord Haoran, This isn't your fault. We all know this, another cultivator sighed. Tao Lord, Tao sect alliance. Sect, Tao sect, or sect Tao, cultivators sect Tao sect. More importantly, they've created a cultivation nation and have the Demon King Order as support. We're all cultivators, but we can't catch up to their cultivation speed, someone loudly shouted. This is a depressing fact. The cultivators finally couldn't hold themselves back anymore, and once again broke out into a heated discussion. Tao Lord Hao Ran waved his hand and cast a muting spell, forcibly suppressing all the voices of discussion. He struggled to speak up. I'm about to die, but our alliance is still being pressured by war. The Cultivation Alliance needs a new leader to lead us to continue our struggle. All of you must give your opinions as soon as possible. After saying so, Tao Lord Hao Ran sighed and let go of the silence technique. He silently waited for everyone to give their opinions. No one said anything. Everyone remained silent. Tao Lord Hao Ran sighed and angrily spoke. You're not willing to become the slaves of the Demon King Order. That's why you're here, but why can't you even choose a leader now? Someone tried to persuade him in a low voice. Tao Lord Hao Ran, please don't be angry. Of course we're not willing, but we've just been defeated. Even you, Tao Lord Hao Ran immediately replied. That's right, they're very aggressive. Their methods are stronger than ours, and the Demon King Order is always supporting them. But don't worry before I die. I will do something for everyone. Everyone looked up with an attentive expression on their faces. Tao Lord Hao Ran laughed self-deprecatingly. This old man only has Tao techniques and thaumaturgies, but I can't stop the Demon King Order, a suppression. But if this old man puts his life on the line, I can easily destroy over half of their army. This way, the Demon Nation won't be able to launch another war for a period of time. That's why. Now, we need to quickly choose a new leader. Otherwise, my death will be meaningless. At this point, the Tao Lord was already shouting himself hoarse. All the cultivators were moved. To fight against the Demon King Order, the Tao Lord had already given his all, even to the point of death. Everyone here had clearly managed to survive. So what was there to feel dejected about? They temporarily escaped from the shadow of their defeat, regained their fighting spirit, and began to seriously consider this problem. The sect masters discussed among themselves for a bit before standing up and loudly declaring, "We recommend the leader of Ling Ming Great World, Venerable Qing Yun." Their proposal was immediately received by a large number of cultivators. Venerable Qing Yun's cultivation is unparalleled. He's a prideful person. He's always been at odds with the Demon Nation. We can be assured with him as the Alliance's leader. That's right, Venerable Qing Yun is trustworthy. I think it's possible everyone discussed. But even more people didn't say anything. Tao Lord Hao Ran looked at a middle-aged cultivator and asked, Venerable Qing Yun, what is your personal opinion? The middle-aged cultivator stood up and sighed. He smiled bitterly. I'm very grateful for everyone's support, but I know my own limits. At this time, when the Order is getting closer and closer, I don't have the confidence to lead the Alliance. In fact, even now, I still don't know how to win against those cultivators who have an order. His words struck a chord in everyone's hearts. That's right, against cultivators of the same cultivation level. How can they fight in order to win against cultivators who have the support of an order? This was a dead end. If no one can solve this problem, the Cultivation Alliance will only continue to lose in future battles until it's completely destroyed. This was already a foreseeable ending. Everyone was saddened by this. After a while, a few more cultivation organizations elected a venerable. But that venerable also gave up. That venerable turned to everyone and loudly declared, I believe that many people of the same cultivation level as me are thinking the same thing. Even Tao Lord Hao Ran failed. I don't believe that I can stand shoulder to shoulder with the Tao Lord, nor do I believe that I can lead the alliance against the Demon Nation. Please don't waste any more time electing someone like me. Everyone must choose someone who can truly go against order. As their leader, everyone agreed. In the past, there might have been many people who were willing to take over the entire alliance, even scheming against each other for power. But this was a time of war, a time when the alliance could be destroyed at any moment, when everyone could die in battle at any moment. Who would dare to take over the Alliance at this darkest moment? Who would dare to say that they could save the entire Cultivation Alliance? The cultivators in the entire world once again fell into a long period of silence. After a long time, a voice rang out. Perhaps we can change our thinking and choose those who performed well in the previous wars. Everyone turned to look. The person who spoke was an old man dressed in a Taoist robe. Half of his body was stained with blood. He was the leader of a certain cultivation world. In the previous battles, he had always been brave and unyielding, almost dying several times. This was a cultivator worthy of respect. Someone agreed. This is a good idea. Venerable Green Cloud bitterly smiled and said, "In this battle, the entire Alliance suffered a crushing defeat on all fronts. Where can we find any outstanding people?" As soon as he said that, the whole place fell silent. The cultivators couldn't help but recall the previous war. "That's not right," someone said hesitantly. "Yes, it's not a complete defeat. There seems to be one attack that was very impressive. I remember too. That was the only counterattack, and it was very successful. The loss is very small. The demonized cultivators were all killed by a single person. Yes, I've seen the battle report. They were indeed killed by one person." "Is there such a person?" "Yes. Have you forgotten about that world that joined the Alliance not long ago?" "What? Who is it?" "That's him." The cultivators all discussed among themselves. Lord Haoran thought for a bit, looked at everyone, and nodded unnoticeably. The Tao Lord raised his voice. "Now, I invite everyone to discuss whether or not we can recommend this Tao friend as the new leader of the Alliance. This Tao friend is the most outstanding person in the previous war. Venerable Bai Hua, Xie Dao Ling." Chapter 696. Speak your mind. After all, the election of a new leader requires everyone's approval. After saying so, Tao Lord Haoran went silent. The leaders, sect masters, and elders of the various cultivation worlds fell into thought. After a while, someone finally spoke up. Xie Dao Ling. I think she's great in every aspect, but her cultivation is a bit low," an elder hesitantly said. Quite a few people agreed with this statement, but more people began to speak up. "That's incorrect," a sect master said. "Ever since she joined the Cultivation Alliance, I've personally witnessed her breakthrough several times in a row. Her advancement speed is like a hot knife through butter. Even those demonized cultivators couldn't catch up to her cultivation speed." Another cultivator spoke up. "Everyone, please think carefully about the strict screening that the Alliance conducted on Xie Dao Ling not too long ago. At the time, it was because her cultivation speed was too fast that everyone was suspicious of her. So the Elder Council ordered for her to undergo the demonized screening. And the result? He relied entirely on his own innate talent and comprehension to climb up step by step." Another elder added, "I still remember when she first joined the Alliance. 88 cultivators discussed Tao with her, trying to help this newcomer understand the vastness of the 900 million world layers, as well as the vastness of the infinite Tao. In the end, 21 cultivators were enlightened on the spot after listening to her discussion and went into seclusion to break through. Such a cultivation speed, such a powerful person. It's as if the heavens sent her here to save us." Another marshal. Cultivator stood up and loudly declared, "Xie Dao Ling needs time. As long as she has enough time, she'll definitely become stronger than all of you. Are you supporting her?" "Of course, she's a goddess. This great one has cultivated for thousands of years and has seen countless fairies, but none of them could compare to her peerless beauty." "Ah, that's true indeed. I agree. Her smile is truly mesmerizing. I don't think there's any charm technique that could compare to it. If that's the case, she's truly a rare figure, seeing that the situation was getting worse." Tao Lord Haoran hurriedly cleared his throat. Silence. He waved his hand and loudly reminded everyone. "We're solemnly electing a new leader of the Alliance, not choosing the best Tao companion. Please don't go off topic." Tao Master Haoran faced everyone and asked. "Then, the main problem right now is that Xie Dao Ling's cultivation realm is too low to convince the masses, right?" The first elder who spoke agreed. "That is indeed the case, unless she can break through another major realm. In any case, cultivation realm is an important standard for us cultivators to measure each other's scattered sounds of agreement could be heard. But very quickly, a series of boos that got louder and louder completely suppressed the voices of agreement. Obviously, many people were dissatisfied with the elder's words, only to see Reverend Green Cloud step forward. He raised both his hands and gestured for everyone to be quiet. The sounds of agreement and booing gradually disappeared. As the first cultivator to be elected as a leader, he had a lot of prestige. Paragon Greencloud began to speak. Elder, if you feel that Xie Daoling's cultivation is a bit low, then I will ask you a single question. Ask away, the elder said. Venerable Qing Yun asked, do you dare to fight against Xie Daoling? The elder recalled Xie Daoling's various techniques, methods, and merciless actions on the battlefield and couldn't help but shout, of course. Who would dare to fight against her? As soon as he said that, he realized something. That's right. Even if her cultivation is a bit low, I still don't dare to fight against her. This is a type of spirit sense fear. This is a cultivator's instinctive desire to survive. The other cultivators looked at this scene and listened to the conversation between the two of them. They all fell in a deep thought. Xie Daoling's cultivation isn't particularly high, but she's already able to make high-leveled cultivators tremble in fear. In addition, she had won the only victory in the entire battle. If everyone truly supported such a person and gave her time to grow, wouldn't she be able to soar to the top? More and more people silently nodded. But the elder insisted, her cultivation is a huge problem. If her cultivation is too low, she won't have enough spirit energy to perform more techniques, although I don't dare to fight against her. Her total spirit energy is definitely lower than mine. Someone seriously thought about it and followed up. If her cultivation is too low, Xie Daoling wouldn't be able to last too long in a large-scale war, someone else added. That's right, if she's the leader of the war, but her own spirit energy isn't enough, that won't do at all. Does that mean our leader has to leave before the war is even halfway through? If that's the case, it would be a huge blow to everyone's morale, as Sect Master said, unless she can advance another realm. But that's too difficult. After all, every realm is always harder and harder to advance. I don't believe she can maintain that rate of advancement, another venerable agreed. That's right, no one can continue to advance so quickly, except for demon eyes to rely on order, but Xie Daoling clearly isn't one of them. The cultivators who supported Xie Daoling loudly refuted. Both sides fell into a heated argument. Dao Lord Hao Ran noticed this. He waited for a while longer, only to see that everyone was seriously discussing this issue. The argument was becoming more and more heated. An important candidate has drawn everyone's attention. That's good. It's time to stop this meaningless argument and move on to the next stage. Dao Lord Hao Ran waved his hand and used a silence technique. Everyone went silent. It was now that the cultivators turned to look at Dao Lord Hao Ran. Dao Lord Hao Ran cleared his throat and began to speak. Then, we now have two questions left. First, is Xie Daoling willing to become the leader of the alliance? Second, we will vote together to see if there are at least 70% of those who support her for this position. Now, we need to ask Xie Daoling and see what she's willing, fellow Dao Seeker Xie. Fellow Dao Seeker Xie, you can come up now. After saying so, Dao Lord Hao Ran waited for a bit longer, but Xie Daoling didn't come up. Almost 1,000 cultivators have been focused on their argument, so it was now that they noticed something was wrong. They didn't care about being polite and released their inner sight to search for Xie Daoling. She's not here. Strange. I clearly saw her enter this world. She left halfway? She left at such a crucial moment. The cultivators discussed among themselves. At this point, a female cultivator stepped forward and spoke to everyone. Everyone, please calm down. Let me explain. She hesitated a bit before speaking. About that, at the beginning, fellow Dao Seeker Xie was indeed here, but she only stayed for a few moments before leaving. Everyone froze. She left? Why? Does she think that the Alliance's meeting isn't important? Dao Lord Hao Ran scowled and asked. The female cultivator hurriedly replied. That's not the case. It's because she felt that she was about to break through. If she triggered a heaven's tribulation in this world, she wouldn't be able to use it properly. and it would also affect everyone's meeting. So she silently left. She told me to cover for her if anything happened. Saying so, the female cultivator couldn't help but smile bitterly. I did promise to cover for her, but I didn't think it would turn out like this. The entire world went silent. Everyone froze. A breath's worth of time later, Dao Lord Haoran finally regained his senses. You said, she's about to break through again? He trembled as he asked. That's right. I'm standing right next to her. Her spirit energy waves have already formed a tidal wave, a sign that she's about to break through. The female cultivator answered truthfully. Everyone went silent again. Ah ha ha. Chapter 697. Gu Qing Shan's Homeworld. The North Pole. Lian was telling Gu Qing Shan about Shenwu World in detail, which means my Shifu is currently the leader of a cultivation alliance. Gu Qing Shan smiled and asked. Indeed, Lian answered. That's quite good, Gu Qing Shan commented. That's not the case, why not? Is there a hidden reason? We've asked a lot of fiend kings in the primordial wraith realm about that cultivation alliance and found out that they've already suffered multiple defeats, with every leader dying in battle. The smile on Gu Qing Shan's face slowly disappeared. He stayed silent for a bit, then spoke. If that's the case, then there's something I don't understand. My Shifu is a very smart person. She wouldn't have agreed to such a dangerous position so easily. She had no other choice. Why not? Actually, before this, your Shifu had already fused 5 worlds. What? Gu Qing Shan exclaimed in shock. Lian nodded. Including the Samsara world that she belongs to, as well as the Samsara world that Shenwu world belongs to, there are a total of 11 worlds, and she had already fused 6 of them. Gu Qing Shan was a bit surprised, then hurriedly asked, Did something happen? How did the living beings of the Samsara world react? Lian shook her head with a complicated expression and answered, No living beings. She then explained further. Among the Samsara worlds that belonged to the cultivation world, the heaven realm had disappeared, leaving only 5 worlds among the Samsara worlds that belonged to the Shenwu world, the human realm, wraith realm, Azura realm, heaven realm, and beast king realm all have no living beings. Only Huang Quan still has trillions of dead people, all of them falling into hell, suffering day and night without being able to escape. Your Shifu chose the wraith realm, Azura realm, heaven realm, and beast king realm that are connected to Shenwu world, then fuse them all together with Shenwu world into the cultivation world. This perfectly avoided the Samsara living beings of the cultivation world. The entire process didn't cause any conflicts. Meow curiously chimed in. The Samsara world is a closed cycle of worlds. Living beings should be able to obtain new life through the cycle of worlds. Why would there be a situation where there are no living beings in multiple worlds? Bali pondered and shook his head. This doesn't make sense. None of my knowledge can explain this phenomenon. Gu Qing Shan remained silent. Since it was related to the ultimate secret of the Samsara, he didn't want to reveal his guess in front of everyone. Perhaps when the Samsara collapsed, the fragments of the Samsara that belonged to Shenwu world were affected in some way. It was the same for the cultivation world. There were only 5 worlds left, and even the heaven realm was gone. Could it be that the entire heaven realm was destroyed when it collapsed? Lian shook her head at Meow, indicating that she didn't know the answer either. She continued, After going through this series of world fusion, the origin of laws of the human realm abruptly became much more powerful, causing the cultivator's strength to greatly increase as well. Shifu's talent was already unimaginable. After being reinforced by the fusion of worlds, she must have become very powerful, Gu Qing Shan commented. Lian continued, But don't forget, your Shifu had fused so many worlds without permission. This had already violated the laws of the 900 million world layers, a very serious crime. Your Shifu had no choice but to join the cultivation alliance of the 900 million world layers. Within the alliance, there was indeed a quota of world fusion that she could use. The price was that she had to fight for the alliance against powerful demonized cultivators. And now, she was elected as the leader of the alliance. She was the target of all demonized cultivators. but your Shifu's strength was the weakest among all the leaders. That's why she's currently in a very dangerous situation." Lian looked at him and whispered, "I feel like this information is very important to you. After all, the reason why you summoned me in the first place was to save your Shifu. That's why you came to tell me this?" Yes, Gu Shan slowly clasped his fist towards Lian and bowed with utmost sincerity. "The information you brought is very important. I must accept this favor. From now on, if you need anything, you can come find me at any time. I'll definitely do my best to help you." Lian quickly glanced at him, then lowered her eyes. "You care a lot about your Shifu?" Of course, Gu Shan sighed. In truth, the cultivation world is a much more realistic place compared to the mortal world. No sect would raise a bunch of disciples for nothing. At the time, I was only a lone cultivator who had just stepped into the path of cultivation, a mere chi training realm with no status at all. If I was lucky, I would be able to gain the recognition of a sect during the semester examination and join them. But every disciple who joins a sect will have to constantly work in order to obtain cultivation resources, learn the best scriptures, and be equipped with the best weapons and armors. Only by doing a lot of things for the sect will you be able to obtain the appropriate rewards. A lot of cultivators work their entire lives, but because they can't fulfill the sect's requirements, they can't obtain enough resources and can't quickly increase their cultivation. A lot of cultivators, because they don't have the best scriptures, sharp weapons, or sturdy armors, they quickly lose their lives in battle. Gu Shan smiled. His voice became warm. "But Shifu accepted me into Bai Hua sect. Shifu gave me the Earth Sword, then personally helped me train my sword skills because she was worried that I would be harmed. She taught me the divine movement art. When she was in danger, she even entrusted the entire sect's resources to me. But did you know? I've never done anything for the sect." Lian listened quietly, as if she was deep in thought. Gu Shan continued, "Our Bai Hua sect isn't like a sect at all, but more like a family. Shifu is my family. I definitely won't let anything happen to her." His voice became resolute and decisive. "But I can see that you have a lot of things to do in this world. Will you be able to return?" Lian asked. "I will definitely finish everything today and then rush back." "Very well. I hope everything goes smoothly for you. If there's anything, just ring the bell," Lian told him. Thank you for making this trip." Gu Shan sincerely thanked her. Lian smiled at him, like a heavenly immortal that had fallen into the human realm, displaying her beauty to the fullest. She slowly backed away, entered the void of space, and disappeared without a trace. Gu Shan looked at Meow. "I'll need your help from now on. What is it?" Meow smiled and asked. What Gu Shan said just now, as well as his attitude towards her Shifu, gave her a good impression. "We need to hurry up, fuse the samsara, and find a world tomb. No problem. I can quickly take you to every samsara world. But before that, we need to retrieve something. What is it?" God Institute hid something underneath the spaceship. They call it the Divine Clock. Using that thing, they'll be able to find a world tomb. So that's how it is. Meow was a bit surprised. She crouched down and put her hand on the ground. A series of distorted spatial folds appeared from her hand and spread toward the entire North Pole. Very quickly, the spaceship above the North Pole was enveloped by the infinite distortions of space. "Huh!" Meow shouted. In an instant, the North Pole was gone. No, it wasn't just gone. It was the entire spaceship that disappeared in front of everyone's eyes. A large chunk of the North Pole disappeared without a trace, making it seem a bit empty. After moving the spaceship away, the only thing that remained was the cold and solid frozen ground. Meow looked down, carefully sensing the movements of the ground below. "Found it. The fluctuations are very clear. I think it's a probing type of thing." While saying so, Meow reached her hand out, lightly touching the void of space. A second later, a small and exquisite object appeared out of thin air, landing in her hand. Everyone looked at it, only to see that it was a small bell with a delicate design. "All right, I'm going to move the spaceship back." Meow reached her other hand out and snapped her fingers. The spaceship silently appeared and landed on the frozen ground of the North Pole. If they hadn't seen everything with their own eyes, no one would have thought that this spaceship that took up the entire North Pole was moved at all. Meow tossed the divine clock to Gu Qing Shan. Take a look, see if this is it, she said. Gu Qing Shan caught the divine clock and carefully looked at it. On the war god UI, lines and lines of glowing text quickly appeared. Item name: Seeker of the Old God's Treasure. Grade: Rare, Exotic Item. Doomsday Chronicles Event Description: This rare item has never appeared in history, nor has it ever been shown to the public. Because of this, no historical events related to this rare item have been discovered. War God Skills: This equipment's previous abilities are as follows: Mystic Type Probing Skill. Miracle Search. The entire War God UI suddenly stopped. Gu Qing Shan froze. What's going on with the system? Without giving him time to think, lines of glowing red text quickly appeared on the War God UI. You're the third person to receive the gift of the Old Gods. Follow your wishes. The power of the Old Gods has been reinforced by the law of causality, granting you the key of soul release. The lore restriction at the deepest level of your soul has been removed. From now on, you can bypass any lore restriction and learn any skill or spell. You can now learn the Mystic Type skill, Miracle Search. To learn this Mystic Type skill, you need to pay 10,000 soul points. Are you willing to pay 10,000 soul points to learn this skill? Chapter 698. Following Gu Qing Shan's choice, a new notification popped up on the War God UI. The system has provided the following explanation. Your basic type of power is Spirit Chi. Spirit Chi can only be used to activate cultivation scriptures and scriptures. It cannot be used for Mystic Type skills. Within the infinite worlds, only soul points can be used for all mysteries, spells, and skills. Because of that, when you grasp skills other than cultivation scriptures, please use soul points to activate those skills. Gu Qing Shan also understood after a bit of thinking. Spirit Chi is the purest form of power in the world, but within the infinite worlds, it can't be used for all skills. At this point, the importance of soul points becomes very clear. The notification on the War God UI slowly faded away. A new notification popped up. You've spent 10,000 soul points. Current soul points remaining. You've grasped the Mystic Type skill, Miracle Search. Miracle Search. When you use this skill, you'll be able to sense the old God's creations and obtain their exact location. Gu Qing Shan silently nodded. This is a very unique searching type skill, but his gaze lingered on the soul points value, a bit doubtful. 86,000 soul points. That's a bit reassuring, but isn't there a problem with this upper limit? Gu Qing Shan suddenly recalled when he fought against Qi Yin in Shenwu World. Liang borrowed 600 soul points from him, even telling him that 600 soul points was the limit of a sainted realm cultivator. But now that I'm a projection realm, why is the upper limit still only 600? Could it be that the system took it for something else? So he asked the War God UI. Ting. After a clear chime, the War God UI asked him in return, deducting a bit of the upper limit to remove the soul points limit on you. Is there a problem? The upper limit of soul points is the most fundamental law of the infinite worlds. It cannot be easily broken. If you want the upper limit of 100 soul points, that's fine, but from then on, you will never be able to break the limit and store too much soul points, the War God UI solemnly asked. Do you really want that soul points limit? Looking at his 80,000 soul points, Gu Qing Shan instantly shrank. What a joke. If he didn't have a huge amount of soul points, how would a few hundred soul points be enough when he grasped more and more skills in the future? In that case, wouldn't life become even more difficult? He immediately said with a straight face, I'm just asking casually. Actually, I don't care about the upper limit of soul power at all. I don't want more. The system could not be bothered with him and did not say anything else. There were no changes to the interface. Gu Qing Shan looked at her 80,000 soul points and slowly breathed a sigh of relief. He suddenly realized how important soul power would become in future battles. He weighed the divine clock in his hand and tossed it to Meow. This is indeed a probing device. Next, we'll fuse the Wraith Realm into it, he said. Do you think a clue to the World Tomb will appear during the fusion? Meow asked. We'll know the answer soon enough. For now, I need to find someone and ask them where the 5 elemental roots of the Wraith Realm are located, Gu Qing Shan said. Who are you going to find? The Frost Flame Wraith King that just died. Going to Huang Quan again? I also want to take a look, Meow curiously asked. Ah, I'm sorry, but other than me, only dead people can enter Huang Quan, Gu Qingshan apologized. He held the Devil King Warden Rod in hand, activated the scepter's power, and directly went to Huang Quan. About less than 10 minutes later, Gu Qingshan appeared again. So soon? Bali was surprised. It had killed too many living beings and couldn't endure the suffering of hell. So it quickly told us everything. Then you should go now to the Wraith Realm, Bali said. Meow asked, Bro, aren't you going to take a look? Bali pointed at the blood-colored cocoon on the ground and said, I'll stay here to watch over this world. After all, even God Institute is involved, and that brat Yi Fei Li is still evolving. I can't afford to be disturbed. That's fine. We'll be back soon, Meow said. She took Gu Qingshan's hand and used spatial shift. The two of them disappeared without a trace. Bali moved a chair over and sat across from Yi Fei Li. Perhaps because he was bored, he took out a bottle of liquor from his pocket. Opening the cap, he lightly sniffed it. Bali's eyes lit up. He tilted his head back and began to gulp down the liquor. How refreshing. Aha, Bali laughed. This was the spirit liquor that Gu Qingshan gave him, brewed from various spirit fruits and grains. Not only was it refreshing to drink, it was also beneficial to the body. While drinking, Bali kept an eye on Yi Fei Li's state. A rare world destroyer. What kind of ability will she evolve into? I'm really looking forward to it, he muttered softly. At another location, the Samsara, the Wraith Realm. The sky was dark and gloomy. Occasionally, a series of gloomy streaks of light would descend from above, crashing straight into the ground. The mountains were steep. The rivers were turbulent. Occasionally, a few barren structures could be seen amidst the rocky wilderness. These structures were where the wraiths stored their corpses. After the wraiths died, their corpses would be exposed in the wilderness and continue to pollute the entire land. Because of that, the wraiths had no choice but to build a few places to store their corpses. They wouldn't stay inside any structures by themselves. When they wanted to rest, the wraiths would simply find a place to rest for a bit. After all, the wraiths were constantly fighting over scarce resources throughout their entire lives. In the sky, Gu Qingshan and Meow appeared. Meow looked around and said disappointedly, What a barren world. No wonder only the most ferocious wraiths could survive here, Gu Qingshan agreed. If it weren't for the sake of making the living beings of the human realm stronger, and for the sake of finding the secrets of the world tomb, I wouldn't have been willing to fuse with this world. Tell me your location. We're going to take the elemental roots right away, Meow said. Got it. Gu Qingshan then reported a location. The two of them disappeared without a trace. Metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. These 5 elements were the basic elements that made up a world. When fusing with a world, the 5 elemental roots must be fused together to form a string of law that connects the 2 worlds. Gu Qingshan and Meow went deep into the various wraith territories to find the elemental roots. When they ran into wraiths that tried to stop them, the two of them didn't say anything and simply knocked them unconscious or moved them away. It was fortunate that Meow was here. Even when they were being chased by countless wraiths, Meow only needed to hold Gu Qingshan's hand and teleport to deal with everything. With such efficient teleportation, the elemental roots were quickly gathered. Gu Qingshan released his spirit energy and combined it with his inner sight to leave his mark on the elemental roots. Using spirit energy to control the smithing technique, he quickly elongated the clusters of light into a string and connected them together. A long line emitting 5-color radiance was produced. As Meow stared at the string of law, her beautiful face was reflected in the colorful light, looking exceptionally alluring. I've never fused with a world before, she sighed. So this is a string of law? It's so beautiful. That's right, this is a string of law. If I bring it back to the human realm, the Wraith realm will also be pulled over, slowly fusing with the human realm to form a new world, Gu Qingshan replied. Meow thought for a bit, then asked, If you're unlucky in the future and someone from the patrol comes to ask you about fusing with a world, do you know what to say? What should I say? Gu Qingshan asked. Just say the Justice Iron Fist Club's name. They won't dare to say anything. How do they know I'm a member of the Justice Iron Fist Club? Did you forget? I've already registered your information in the Infinite Worlds. Also, from now on, whenever you need to spend money, just say the Justice Iron Fist Club's name. I guarantee that no one will dare to take your money on the spot, Meow pridefully said. Guqingshan nodded and said nothing. Even though I'm in debt everywhere, I can still say it so openly. In the entire 900 million world layers, probably only Meow and Bali would be able to do this. How about I try going into debt next time as well? Chapter 699. Guqingshan took the Wraith Realm string of law and returned to the human realm with Meow. They returned to the North Pole. So this is a string of law of a world? Bali asked with interest. That's right. It's connected to the Wraith Realm's world origin, so it could be fused at any time, Guqingshan replied. Lines of glowing text kept appearing in his vision. You've obtained a string of law. This is a string of law of the Wraith Realm within the Samsara. If you bring it to the human realm, the Wraith Realm will be pulled here by the string of law, slowly fusing with the human realm to form a new world. Guqingshan walked to the edge of the mountain and was about to throw the string of law out. He suddenly stopped. What's the matter? Bali asked. What are you hesitating for? Meow also asked. Guqingshan thought for a bit, then slowly answered, I need to return to Shunwu world as soon as possible to help my Shifu. So? Meow asked. Guqingshan turned around and looked at the two of them. Then we might as well do something big and solve the problem right away. The brother and sister were a bit surprised, but quickly understood. You want to solve the problem right away? That's right, that's a big deal. Bali gave her a thumbs up and smiled. Meow excitedly said, If that's the case, then it'll be so much fun. Let me arrange it a bit. Saying so, Guqingshan took out her hollow brain and called Impartial Goddess. Sir, what are your orders? Impartial Goddess asked. Have the Asuras, Demis, and Beast Kings left yet? Following his question, 3 screens appeared on the hollow brain. The Asuras were gathered together, discussing a few things under the Asura King's lead. The Demis were busy collecting their spoils of war, as well as leading the captured humans towards a large-scale warp formation. The Beast Kings weren't the same as them. They were heading towards the North Pole. Impartial Goddess answered. The Asura are currently discussing whether or not to meet you. The Demis are preparing to leave. The Beast Kings are preparing to surrender. Guqingshan asked. Meow, can you seal the space and prevent the Demis from leaving? That's easy. Meow took out a scepter and stabbed it into the ground. Confine, she growled. Invisible ripples spread out from the scepter, sweeping across the sky and spreading across the entire world. That's enough. They can't get away, Meow said. Thank you. Now it's my turn to talk to them, said Guqingshan. He gestured at Impartial Goddess. Sir, would you like to stream like the murder clown? Yes. Please wait a moment. I will make the necessary preparations immediately. Impartial Goddess began to prepare. The other side, the gathering place of the descendants of gods. The heavenly god roared, Quick! The Frostflame Wraith King might be able to hold on for a few more minutes. Let's hurry up and leave now. Sir, the warp formation has been prepared. Activate the warp formation now. Yes, sir. Very quickly, the Heaven Realm's large-scale warp formation began to vibrate rapidly. The formation went into full operation mode and began to warp toward a certain direction. A screen of light appeared and enveloped everyone within the formation. A few moments later, everyone disappeared. A few moments later, the formation lit up again. Everyone reappeared. Very well, no. What's going on? Why are we still here? The heavenly god angrily asked. Sir, the space has been sealed. We can't leave. What? That's true. The entire world is being sealed by an indescribable wave. No one can warp far away. The heavenly deity could not help but be stunned. His heart sank to the bottom. At this point, a demi called out, Look! Everyone looked up. In the sky, numerous small flying machines appeared. They were arranged according to a certain order and opened up one after another. The light was projected into the void of space, forming a holographic image. The same situation was also happening where the Asura and Beast Kings were. The North Pole. Gu Shan silently waited for a few minutes. Impartial goddess voice came again. It is done, sir. You may begin your live broadcast at any time. When you speak, the entire world will be able to see you and hear your voice. We will begin now, Gu Shan said. Following his declaration, all of the holographic devices in the world lit up. Humans, Azura, Beast Kings, Demis, all of them could see Gu Shan's image from the devices closest to them. Hello, everyone. Gu Shan began to speak. I am a scientist from the Federation. Gu Shan, I believe many of you know me, especially friends from the Demis, Azura, and Beast Kings. As we've only just met not too long ago, I'm going to inform everyone of something. The entire Samsara world is about to fuse. Please maintain your calm and cheerful mood as you welcome this large-scale world change. Attention, human professionists. You must take this chance to quickly increase your fighting strength. Friend from the Demis, Azura, and Beast Kings, please head to the North Pole and tell me the location of your world's elemental roots. Even if the elemental roots have been used or fused into certain weapons and armors, it is not a problem. They will not simply disappear. Please tell me the relevant information. I want to remind everyone that today's notice is only a notice. In other words, I'm only letting you know about this. No one has the right to object or resist. Right, there's one more thing. Once the 6 worlds have fused into one, the various human countries will continue to follow their own power structure and laws. As for the Demis, Azura, and Beast Kings, you are free to establish your own countries, or you can join the human world. This will depend on your individual will. I will not stop you. No one is allowed to stop you. I have a friendly reminder. Gu Shan put up a finger, smiled, and continued. All races, please live in peace. Any actions that harm the lives of other races will be punished by the law. Very well. Please come to the North Pole and tell me the location of your elemental roots. You can choose not to cooperate or even go against me, but I will reserve the right to use other methods to obtain the relevant information. Trust me, that won't be a pleasant process. There's one more thing for those friends who have too many thoughts in their minds. No matter what kind of malicious intentions you have, no matter what kind of methods you use to deceive the world, no matter what kind of methods you come up with to destroy the human world, Gu Shan clapped her hands. The 6 paths, great mountain sword, the forgetting river, soul, flaying hook, and the devil king warden rod appeared from the void of space, silently hovering behind him. The 3 divine armaments of hell. They gave off intense fluctuations of the law of Huang Quan, allowing those with discerning eyes to recognize them at a glance. Gu Shan continued. Let me remind everyone, the world of Huang Quan is my territory. I promise everyone here that those dishonest people will suffer all kinds of pain after death, and they won't even have the chance to reincarnate. All right, that's about all. Gu Shan looked straight at the camera. He stared straight at everyone. Finally, friends of the various races, there is no need for you to feel any hatred or resentment towards this world fusion. When you coveted the human world and made all sorts of arrangements for it, you should have understood one thing. Chapter 700. Gu Shan's worldwide speech ended. He turned off his hollow brain and sat back down on his chair. Bali poured him a glass of liquor. After talking for so long, I was just about to have a drink. Gu Shan raised his glass to thank him. Bali also raised his glass, praising. The fusion of worlds will bring about many problems, but every life should be respected and protected. You've done a good job by saying such things ahead of time, Meow also said. At a time like this, we need to be a bit harsh, otherwise some people might try to get lucky. We'll have to wait and see what happens next. If someone tries anything funny, it'll be best to kill one as a warning to others, Gu Shan said. Don't worry, I'll support you on such a matter, Bali said. Thank you, Gu Shan said. The 3 of them drank. The hollow brain on the table lit up again. Impartial goddess began to report. Frowny face, sir. Following the Beast King, the Azura and Demis are also heading towards the North Pole. How much longer until they arrive? Very soon, around 10 minutes, Gu Shan nodded. The door of the small room suddenly opened. A few small robots came in. Each of the robots had a tray in their hands, filled with iced liquor and desserts. Impartial goddess voice came from one of the robot's frowny face. These are the desserts and drinks prepared by Mr. Jang Young-ho. He's currently helping me, so I brought them here. Gu Qing-shan glanced at the food, then at Bali and Meow. The brother and sister's eyes lit up, but perhaps because they haven't tasted this world's food before, they didn't know how to choose. Gu Qing-shan picked the strongest liquor for Bali, as well as a large glass of iced orange lemon milk for Meow, then put the desserts tray on the table in front of Meow, took out a box of cigars, cut one, and gave it to Bali. He also found a bottle of wine for himself. But this time, he did not choose a particularly strong wine, because there were still many things waiting for him to do. Under such circumstances, he had to remain clear-headed. Meow drank her iced drink and put a piece of dessert in her mouth. While eating, she praised, "Not bad. The Samsara world's food standards are so high. Is it because the old gods favored the Samsara when they created the world?" Bali took a sip of the strong liquor and smacked his lips. "The brewing technique is also top-notch. I've already fallen in love with this bottle of liquor. It seems that even though the Samsara beings aren't strong enough, their lives are still quite comfortable." The brother and sister were certain of one thing and looked at each other. As expected, they're the reason why Gu Qing-shan's cooking is so outstanding. The club had really picked up a top chef this time. They were really lucky. At this time, impartial goddess voice came again. "Sir, the Beast King leader, the heavenly god, and the Azura king have all arrived." "Where are they?" "At the foot of the hill." Saying so, impartial goddess released a screen of light. There were 3 people standing on the screen. The first was a humanoid monster with a lion head, the Beast King leader. The second was a bewitching man with a weapon in his hand, the Azura king. The third was a man dressed in armor. His expression was serious and dignified. This was the new heavenly deity. A row of cold mechs stood in front of them, cutting off their path up the hill. Gu Qing-shan glanced at them and said, "Tell the heavenly god to leave a message about the 5 elemental origins. Then we'll leave," impartial goddess replied. "It has been conveyed. He asked if you have anything else to say, sir. Tell them to take care of themselves. There are only a few hundred of them. Their population is already low. After the worlds fuse, if they don't obey the law, their entire race will be wiped out." "Understood," impartial goddess replied. On the screen, the heavenly god appeared to be paying attention, as if listening to what one of the mechs was saying. He stopped for a bit, gave a message, bowed, and left. Impartial goddess spoke. "Sir, the Beast King leader and the Azura king are still waiting at the foot of the hill. Tell the Beast King leader they can live however they want, but when it comes to hunting, they must ask for your opinion to avoid damaging our world's natural ecosystem." Then, after leaving a message about the 5 elemental origins, they can also leave. "Understood. Tell the Azura king. I respect their fighting habits, but from now on, when they fight, they cannot break humanity's laws." Meow couldn't help but chuckle and cut in. "The Azura can't break laws? Then how are they supposed to fight?" Gu Qing-shan replied, "Humanity has many sport competitions like boxing, judo, basketball, rhythmic gymnastics, etc. The World Cup just ended not too long ago, so they can learn more about it. If they really want to fight, that's fine. As long as they don't interfere with the other races, they can hold their own fights for survival." "Very well, I'll relay your orders, sir." On the screen, the Azura king seriously listened to the mech's message. His expression became very interesting. He tilted his head and thought for a bit, then left. The small house at the top of the mountain. The information about the 5 elemental origins of the Azura world, Heaven Realm, and Beast King Realm were all displayed on the screen. Gu Qing-shan silently memorized them one by one. Meow took a sip of her iced drink and asked in a relaxed tone, "What do you mean? Are we going to collect these 5 elemental origins now?" Gu Qing-shan replied, "Let's go. It's better to get this over with as soon as possible." "All right." Meow stood up. She couldn't help but put another snack in her mouth, then pulled Gu Qing-shan along and activated her spatial technique. The 2 of them disappeared from the small house. The Heaven Realm was vast and boundless, and the laws of origin were the most powerful of the Samsara. But the population of the Heaven Realm was too low, so even though the scenery was beautiful, there weren't many people in the Heaven Realm. The Azura Realm was divided into 4 worlds and was even bigger than the Heaven Realm. The Beast King realm wasn't that big, but it was divided into the surface world, the ocean world, and the underground world, so it was much harder to find things there. Anyone else would have to spend a lot of time and effort to find the 5 elemental origins of these worlds. But Gu Shan had Meow. They teleported to each place, collected the 5 elemental origins, and left. Their efficiency was unbelievably high. When Bali was halfway through his bottle of liquor, they returned. Did everything go smoothly? Bali asked. Look, Gu Shan opened his palm. 4 strings of law silently hovered above his palm. A memorable moment has arrived. Bali stood up. Meow's eyes lit up. That's right, fusing 4 worlds at once. I can't wait to see what happens. Gu Shan waved his hand. The 4 strings of law gave off a beautiful glow as they slowly disappeared into the void of space. They had fused into this world. Without a sound, the world itself began to change. Bali sighed emotionally. Before the 900 million world layers established their own rules, countless worlds were fighting over each other's strings of law. It was a chaotic era of war and bloodshed. Is that so? That era must have given birth to a lot of combatants, right? Gu Shan asked. Bali replied. Many Lord-class combatants were born during that era. Meow also nodded. Because fusing with another world has great benefits for the living beings of this world. Gu Shan's hollow brain lit up in her chest pocket. Impartial goddess voice came. Sir, are you fusing with the worlds? Yes, Gu Shan replied. The world is once again undergoing a great transformation. According to the model I made when I fused with the Huang Quan realm last time, it is estimated that even more new landscapes and environments will be born. Gu Shan asked. Will the world climate, our original buildings and crops be affected? Impartial goddess replied. They will. The world's climate will become more suitable for humans. Human civilization's buildings will not be affected by the changes in the Earth's surface, and crops will have a great harvest. Furthermore, according to the differences between humans, normal people will more or less have their physique strengthened, while professionists will experience a new stage of explosive growth. That's good, Gu Shan nodded. He suddenly sensed something and released his inner sight to check the ship's direction. A handsome old man. No, this was Liao Xing after plastic surgery. He was hovering in the air, surrounded by numerous machine parts. The densely packed parts quickly gathered together according to his hand gestures and assembled into a long mechanical repair arm. Impartial goddess. I'm ready on my side. What about you? Liao Xing loudly asked. Thank you for your assistance. Please replace the damaged electronic components of the 3rd and 4th long-range decryptor, as well as change the password. We'll attempt to decrypt it under a different operating environment, Impartial Goddess replied. Got it, Liao Xing replied. Controlling the arm, he began to change the components of the 2 large decryptor devices in front of the ship. Gu Shan was speechless. To be able to apply everything he learned from cultivation to his daily life, Liao Xing could be considered an anomaly among scientists. A few moments later, Liao Xing suddenly dropped the arm and hurriedly ran away. While running, Liao Xing shouted, I don't know why, but I'm about to break through to Golden Core Realm. I need to meditate right away. Impartial Goddess, help me stay alert. He found a flat area, crossed his legs, closed his eyes, and began to prepare to break through to Golden Core Realm. Seeing this, Gu Shan was full of emotions. It's finally begun. Indeed, from this moment onwards, the 6 worlds had become one. An unprecedentedly vast world was slowly being born. Chapter 701. Gu Shan was a bit worried about Liao Xing. He released his inner sight to carefully observe Liao Xing's state. Very quickly, Gu Shan sensed the spirit energy tide coming from Liao Xing's body. This was a sign that his spirit energy was about to explode, about to break through to the next level. For a cultivator, breaking through to Golden Core Realm can be said to be difficult, but it can also be said to be easy, because there's no need to face the lightning tribulation when breaking through to Golden Core Realm. Just this point alone reduced the difficulty of the entire advancement process by 70%. Liao Xing slowly closed his eyes and entered a meditative state. As time passed, a monster with 5 eyes suddenly appeared from the void of space. It's a cultivator. What wonderful flesh and blood! The monster was drooling, grinding its teeth as it spoke. Gu Qingshan looked at the monster, hesitated a bit, wondering if he should help. Yes, Golden Core Realm cultivators don't need to face the tribulation, but the monsters from the void of space will follow the spirit energy tide. This is a test that every cultivator has to face. He can help Liao Xing once, but not every time. Once he breaks through to Rejuvenation Realm, the tribulation will come, and Liao Xing will have to face it himself sooner or later. A cultivator's breakthrough will depend on themselves. Let's see how Liao Xing deals with this. If he can't, then we'll see. With that in mind, Gu Qingshan didn't help. In midair, the monster extended its body and silently pounced towards Liao Xing. Liao Xing closed his eyes and didn't move at all, only quickly formed a few hand seals. Gu Qingshan opened his eyes wide. Liao Xing gathered his spirit energy, infused it into his hand seals, and triggered the void of space. The hand seal was formed. 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 Liao Xing unleashed 5 of the same technique at once. A golden light shot up to the sky, heading straight for the 5-eyed monster. The 5-eyed monster suddenly stopped, spread its wings, and performed a gliding roll. The golden light passed by it. But right after that, 4 more golden lights formed the shape of a jing and went straight into the monster's body. The monster immediately lost all signs of life. Its body, limbs, head, and wings were all cleanly cut open and laid out in a neat row on the snowy ground. The corner of Liao Xing's mouth curled into a disdainful smile as he muttered, "The 7,921st Void Monster, relying on its crudely made wings, it can only perform 3 of the most ancient aerodynamic glides and rolls, and its bite strength is only ranked 9,635th. With such strength, it still dares to court death here. However, it has provided me with a new specimen for my Void Monster limb adaptation research. This is not bad." After saying this, Liao Xing once again entered a deep state of breakthrough. Gu Qingshan held her forehead, not knowing what to do. Liao Xing's cultivation method seemed to have deviated somewhere. However, Liao Xing was only the first person in the entire world to receive the gift of the fused world origin. As time passed, the merging of the 6 paths worlds would gradually speed up. All living beings in the mortal realm would enter a period of rapid growth. At a certain moment, Gu Qingshan sensed something and looked to the other side. He didn't have to wait for too long. A green-scaled lizard that was more than 10 stories tall appeared on the empty snowy ground. Zhang Yongho stood on top of the lizard's head, smiling as he spoke. "Hello, boss. I don't know why, but I accidentally summoned you." The green-scaled lizard was hiding inside the thick poisonous fog, observing its surroundings with its vertical pupils. It spoke in a low voice. "Littling Hao, do you still not understand? Your God's chosen power has received the gift of the world, so it has accumulated enough power. You can now attempt to advance to the next stage." "What? The next stage?" Zhang Yongho was surprised. "That's right. You can advance from a God's chosen to a card user." Seemingly afraid that Zhang Yongho wouldn't take it seriously, the green-scaled lizard's tone became heavier and reminded him, "Don't think too much right now. Don't talk too much. Come with me to complete the construction of the first Hitman card. You need to put your heart and soul into creating this Hitman card, because it will determine whether you'll become a mediocre person in the future or a true king of Hitmen." Zhang Yongho's expression slowly calmed down. "Since it's related to my profession, I will do my best," he spoke in a low voice. "Very well. You're now qualified to follow me to the hunter's nest," the green-scaled lizard said. Its body moved and turned into a black streak of light, bringing Zhang Yongho through the void of space. "This person will become an assassin-type card user in the future. Is he really your friend?" Bali watched this and asked worriedly. "Yes, don't worry. He's actually a good person, and he doesn't kill the innocent," Gu Qingshan replied. "That's good then," Bali nodded. He could trust Gu Qingshan's guarantee. While they were talking, a series of fluctuations suddenly erupted from the small cabin on top of the mountain behind them. A bright red glow came from the door and window of the cabin, shooting towards the distance. Guqing Shan, Bali, and Miao quickly entered the cabin. The blood-colored cocoon that Yi Fei Li had turned into hovered up from the ground, constantly changing its shape in the air. Is he about to finish his evolution? Guqing Shan raised her hand to block the blinding red light and loudly asked. I don't know. We'll have to watch a bit longer to know, Miao also loudly replied. The blood-colored cocoon slowly stabilized. It turned into a rectangular box that hovered in the air and slowly stopped moving. From a glance, the cocoon had turned into a coffin. Countless intricate runes were growing on the surface of the coffin. Strings of mysterious runes quietly appeared on the coffin. Waves of air surged up from the coffin and dispersed in all directions. I can tell he hasn't finished his evolution yet, Miao judged. Guqing Shan felt tense and hurriedly asked, Is there a problem? No, there's no problem at all, Miao stared at the blood-colored coffin and explained. His evolution form has changed. It seems to have entered a higher and deeper level of evolution. The feedback from the world's power has changed his evolution path. I'm guessing that his evolution will take a longer time. He'll become even stronger, Miao excitedly declared. The stronger the people of the club are, the more excited she felt. Guqing Shan sighed in relief. All of a sudden, Guqing Shan also sensed something. The gift from the world origin has arrived. Guqing Shan closed her eyes and carefully sensed the changes in herself. The spirit energy inside her dantian began to grow uncontrollably. Originally, after breaking through to projection realm, he didn't even have the time to stabilize his cultivation as he was constantly fighting and scheming. Even now, his spirit energy was still in a state of turmoil, unable to settle down. But as the 6 worlds fused together, as well as the gift from the world origin to living beings, Guqing Shan also received the corresponding benefits. He felt his spirit energy filling up, expanding like a flowing river, welcoming the season of storm. The intense spirit energy flowed through his body without stopping, then gathered at his dantian. Guqing Shan reached her hand out and lightly formed a hand seal. The scripture she obtained from the suspended world contained a detailed explanation of how to break through to projection realm. Recalling the contents of the scripture, Guqing Shan circulated her spirit energy and activated the hand seal in her hand. Bam! Inexorably, something seemed to have opened up. Then, as if he had been enlightened, the spiritual energy fluctuations from his head to his toes slowly increased. Guqing Shan felt the spirit energy inside her dantian turning into a vortex that connected to the void of space, receiving an indescribable power from the depths of the world. Her spirit energy grew stronger, stronger, and stronger. When everything calmed down, Guqing Shan was already unable to control her spirit energy anymore. The spirit energy waves were hundreds of times more violent than Liao Xing's. In fact, as long as Guqing Shan wanted to, he could even trigger a tribulation right now. He's about to break through to tribulation realm. Guqing Shan sighed deeply and told Bali, Now I finally understand why everyone likes to fuse worlds together. Bali smiled. Miao also smiled and said, Our club still has a lot of resources. You can continue to use them. But do you know what kind of punishment a normal person would have to face if they try to fuse worlds together? What is it? Immediately erased. All right, I'm glad I joined the Justice Iron Fist Club. Guqing Shan smiled and said. Miao's expression suddenly changed. She quickly took out a small, intricately made clock. This was the divine clock from God Institute. The hour, minute, and second hands of the divine clock began to move at an alarming rate. Look, there's a reaction. Miao exclaimed in surprise. Guqing Shan spoke in a low voice. It seems the world tomb will only appear when the samsara fuses a few moments later. The 3 hands of the divine clock jumped out from the clock's face and turned into 3 long strings of numbers in the air. What is this? Guqing Shan asked. Meow stared closely at the 3 strings of numbers and quickly answered, "It's a complex multidimensional coordinate system. This is a very unpopular method of recording spatial coordinates. No one has been using it for over 900 years. Fortunately, I still remember how to convert it. Can you get the exact location?" Bali also asked, "HM, I know where it is. Gu Qing Shan, what do you say? We're going to take a look together. Impartial goddess, stay here and keep an eye on Yi Fei Li." "Understood, sir," Impartial goddess replied. "Is there anything else you haven't told me?" Meow asked. "Nothing else. Then let's go." She reached both hands out to grab Bali and Gu Qing Shan's hands. Chapter 702. Gu Qing Shan's homeworld. A desolate mountain range. This place was close to a desert, so the climate was dry and the environment was harsh. Most of the time of the year, the wind would blow sand everywhere. On the barren mountain, other than the rocks that had been exposed to the sun for many years, there were only a few plants that could withstand the heat. Under the intense sunlight, there were no animals in sight. In the sky, Bali, Meow, and Gu Qingshan appeared. "The Samsara's world tomb is hidden in this mountain?" Bali asked. Meow replied, "According to that thing from God Institute, it should be here." Hearing that, Gu Qingshan's mind moved. He silently activated the skill, Miracle Search. On the War God UI, his soul points value dropped by several hundred. It was only a few hundred. Gu Qingshan only glanced over it briefly before ignoring it. A wondrous feeling appeared. He was able to sense some sort of unique fluctuation from the void of space. Through the telepathic connection with this fluctuation, Gu Qingshan felt a sense of understanding. Indeed, there was a creation of the old gods here. Although he didn't know what it was definitely here. As for the location, Gu Qingshan's gaze moved downwards. That item should be hidden right below this mountain. Sure enough, right after that, Meow pointed at the mountain range below and said, "The approximate location is right below this mountain." Gu Qingshan silently praised and stopped the technique. Miracle Search wasn't a combat-type skill, but with this technique, it would be much easier to search for the items left behind by the old gods in the 900 million world layers. "It seems to be hidden quite deeply." Meow confirmed the location and continued. "Let me," Bali said. He raised his hand and lightly swung it downwards from afar. The earth trembled. Sand and dirt flew everywhere. The entire mountain was split in half from the middle. Because it couldn't handle such a huge force, not only was the mountain split in half, it even collapsed in opposite directions. The scene at the bottom of the abyss was revealed to the 3 of them. It was a giant human face. Under the sudden illumination of the sky, the giant human face suddenly came to life. The 3 of them stared blankly for a moment, and only after looking at it carefully did they come to a realization. Meow. "So, it's a statue of a deity made of bronze. It almost scared me," Bali frowned. "Deities usually care about leaving behind their appearance. I didn't expect to see a rare statue of a deity here. I heard that the gods created humans according to their own characteristics, but their true faces are rarely shown to the world. How do you know that this bronze statue is the true form of the gods?" Gu Qingshan asked. "Because of his expression." "Expression?" "Yes. According to the ancient records of the Spire Keeper Association, all the ancient objects that have been passed down, as long as they depict the appearance of the gods, they must be filled with compassion. Pity." Gu Qingshan looked at the bronze face. The human face was lifelike and had a deep sense of pity as it stared at the 3 people in the sky. Being stared at by the face, Gu Qingshan couldn't help but feel an irresistible emotion. "In all of the ancient objects, the gods only have this expression," Bali continued. "Some people say that this is the deepest sense of pity, proof of the creator god's compassion towards life. But I don't think that makes sense," Meow commented. "Why is that?" Bali asked in surprise. He had never heard his sister talk about this before. Meow replied, "I can't really say, but I feel like a compassionate artwork should have a lot of power and influence. But the expressions of the gods I've seen in the ancient paintings and statues have never influenced me," Gu Qingshan suddenly said. "Looking at this statue, I can't help but not want to look at it again. That's right, Meow thought for a bit and replied. I feel like it's actually conveying a mix of negative emotions, like despair, sorrow, fear. That's why you subconsciously don't want to be influenced, Gu Qingshan commented. Someone once said that, but it was quickly overturned, Meow replied. How was it overturned? Because the divinities created the world, they also created all living beings in the infinite worlds. So the divinities have unparalleled power. When facing all living beings, they can casually use any kind of divine technique to change everything. So the divinities are basically omnipotent, so they shouldn't have negative emotions, Kitty explained. Gu Qingshan nodded. That makes sense. He stopped thinking about this and continued to look down. He was observing the statue of the gods again. This giant statue of the gods was made from a single piece of bronze. Bronze? Wait a minute, I seem to have seen this material somewhere before. Suddenly, he recalled the giant corpse from 100,000 years ago. For some reason, Gu Qingshan recalled something else. Through the war god quest, I found out a secret. The Samsara worlds contain the most world tombs, which contain the most self-saving methods that the gods have given to living beings. Self-saving methods. There was a certain thought in Gu Qingshan's mind, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't figure it out. We're going to slowly descend. During this process, pay attention to our surroundings for any signs of activity, Bali said. Got it, Gu Qingshan replied. Bali had opened 3 world tombs before, so he had plenty of experience, so it wouldn't be a bad idea to listen to him. The 3 of them began to descend towards the giant bronze face. Compared to the bronze face, the 3 of them were incredibly small. They were like 3 leaves floating on the surface of a vast lake. As he got closer, Gu Qingshan noticed something that made his heart skip a beat. As the 3 of them descended, the bronze face's pupils began to move. The bronze face was also slightly adjusting its direction so that it could better observe the 3 people who had landed. It's moving, Gu Qingshan reminded him. That's right, the statues of the gods all have a certain level of sentience. It can even talk to you about this world tomb, Bali said. Meow also said, Don't worry, the gods have already left the 900 million world layers. This statue is nothing more than a statue. Gu Qingshan calmed down and carefully observed the bronze face again. All of a sudden, he saw a figure being reflected in the bronze face's left eye. Bali Meow looked, Gu Qingshan immediately said. The 2 of them looked towards where he was pointing. What do you see? Bali doubtfully asked. Gu Qingshan said, Quickly look at its left eye. In his vision, the figure in the bronze face's left eye seemed to have sensed the 3 of them approaching. The figure was madly hammering the bronze face's left eye. From the looks of it, the figure was trying to escape from the bronze face's left eye. Meow stared closely at the bronze face's left eye and shook her head. I don't see anything. Bali, on the other hand, commented. This pair of eyes is very lifelike. The most outstanding work I've ever seen among the statues of the gods. Gu Qingshan looked at the 2 of them, only to see that Bali and Meow's expressions were normal, so they didn't seem to be lying. Both of them were Lord-class combatants, so there was no need for them to joke about such a small matter. Gu Qingshan suddenly had a thought. Could it be I'm the only one who can see that figure? He looked at the bronze face's left eye again. The figure in the left eye had calmed down. The figure stood there silently, not moving an inch. Chapter 703. The figure didn't move at all, silently staring at Gu Qingshan through the bronze face's eye. But Bali and Meow didn't notice it at all. Bali continued. Be careful. Some world tombs will show some strange changes before they open. That's fine. With Bro and my strength, we'll be able to deal with it. Meow smiled and replied. The 3 of them continued to descend towards the bronze face. A few moments later, they were standing on the bronze face's nose. Let's split up and see if there's anything special about this bronze face, Bali said. Normally, those special things are related to how the world tombs open, Meow explained to Gu Qingshan. That's right. Shall we begin now? Bali was full of enthusiasm. After all, it was something left behind by the old gods, so being able to investigate it would be a great thrill. Gu Qingshan coldly observed them. He noticed that Bali and Meow really couldn't see that figure. The brother and sister were open and candid, and their personalities were also very bright. If they were trying to deceive me and pretend that they couldn't see that figure, not to mention Meow, even Bali's expression would reveal something. That's very strange. Gu Qingshan took a deep breath. He decided to remind Bali and Meow to use some spells. With the help of a spell, they might be able to find that figure. Gu Qingshan then said, Bali Meow, use your spells to check the bronze face's left eye. I found. His words were cut off. As soon as he said the bronze face's left eye, everything around him changed. Everything around him turned into blurred lines that scattered in front of Gu Qingshan's eyes. The entire world turned into a pure white void. Gu Qingshan found himself floating before landing on a certain spot on the ground. He released his inner sight to observe his surroundings. North, south, east, west, heaven and earth were boundless. The whole world was white, and nothing else could be seen. The place where Gu Qingshan was standing was an isolated island. In the blink of an eye, he found himself on an isolated island. Meow and Bali were nowhere to be found. He was the only one on the island. The island floated above the endless dark abyss. This scene was quite similar to the floating islands of the suspended world. But unlike the suspended world, below the island was a bottomless abyss, not a realm demon. Gu Qingshan lowered her head and stomped on the ground. The ground was extremely hard and had a metallic luster to it. This was the color of bronze. It turned out that this was an island made entirely of bronze. Gu Qingshan pondered for a moment, then sneered. It was too difficult to capture two overlord-level powerhouses without causing any commotion. So, the only one who was affected was himself. It's an illusion technique? Gu Qingshan muttered, then drew the Six Paths' great mountain sword from the void of space. Lawbreaker. Perfect. If I use my full power, I should be able to dispel this illusion technique. He raised his sword. Please wait a moment, a familiar voice called out. Hearing this voice, Gu Qingshan almost couldn't even hold his sword. He was a veteran of many battles, so even in the face of difficult situations, he was able to maintain his calm, rarely ever losing his composure. But right now, as he heard this voice, Gu Qingshan felt chills running down his spine. Who are you? Gu Qingshan shouted in a low voice. Who am I? That's not important. Below the small bronze island, in the endless dark abyss, a black shadow flew up. The shadow lightly landed in front of Gu Qingshan. There are no facial features, only the reflection of a person could be seen. A familiar reflection. Gu Qingshan took a deep breath, barely able to control his mind. What kind of technique did you use to bring me here? He asked. Compared to what I'm about to tell you, these minor details aren't important, the shadow replied. Then tell me something else. Tell me where you came from. The shadow answered. I came from the age of immemorial, once a certain person's shadow. Because I'm attached to the fragmented divine power of the world tomb, I haven't died yet. The reason why I was left here alone was because that person felt the need to pass down a few truths to future generations, to let a few people with hope know about them, to make this secret inheritance valuable enough. That person set up a lot of restrictions, but I don't know the specifics. My mission is only to pass on his words to the person who fused the samsara and opened the world tomb. Please go. Ahead, Gu Qingshan said. The shadow continued. I will only pass on his words once, and only you can know what he said. You cannot tell anyone else, otherwise you will regret it. Its tone changed into a more serious one. Regardless of who you are, listen to me very carefully. The divinities have created many worlds. The samsara was the greatest masterpiece among them, but it was easily destroyed. I already know about this. Without even thinking, Gu Qingshan quickly asked the question in her mind. Who exactly destroyed the samsara world? The shadow replied. I can't tell you anything, but I can clearly tell you that the divinities are afraid of that kind of existence. What about the divinities? Why can't I see any divinities in the 900 million world layers? Gu Qingshan asked another question. The divinities have already run away, the shadow replied. Its body slowly became dim and thin, as if something as simple as passing on a message was taking a lot of energy for it. There's one last thing. Listen carefully. The world originally had a total of 9 billion world layers, but they were gradually being destroyed, falling into the doomsday graveyard. 9 billion world layers. If this is true, Gu Shan gasped and couldn't help but ask, I don't believe it. If the world originally had a total of 9 billion world layers, why has no one in the 900 million world layers ever mentioned it? The shadow replied, if living beings haven't even heard of the doomsday graveyard, then of course they wouldn't know how many world layers the world originally had, nor how the world reached its end. 9 billion world layers. How could they all be destroyed? Gu Shan muttered, still unable to believe it. The shadow explained, because from the very beginning, when the divinities created the infinite worlds, they only had a single goal. There was a goal in the world creation. What was the divinity's goal? Gu Shan pursued. To stall for time, the shadow replied. Gu Shan thought for a bit and slowly replied, stalling is also a tactic. So the divinities were trying to stall for time? What do they need time for? To accumulate strength and retaliate against their enemy? That's not it, the shadow continued. The divinities were only trying to make themselves run as far as possible, to make themselves as far away from that kind of existence as possible. Why didn't they think of a way to fight against their enemy? They couldn't fight back. At this point, the shadow became fainter and fainter. The divinities ran out of fear, went mad from despair, died in battle, and hid from fear. This is the apocalypse of the infinite worlds, the apocalypse of the divinities, the apocalypse of all living beings hearing this familiar voice. Gu Shan couldn't hold back his emotions anymore and shouted, then what can I do even if you tell me all this? I'm just a tiny little cultivator. The shadow slowly faded away until it couldn't be seen at all. Only a single sentence echoed in the void of space. The divinities had created many things more powerful than themselves. So before the infinite worlds are completely destroyed, no one can say for sure that nothing unexpected would happen. The voice slowly faded away. Everything returned to silence. Everything around them was still an endless stretch of emptiness. Gu Shan's legs softened as he knelt down on the ground. He breathed heavily, wiping the cold sweat off his forehead. After a while, he slowly regained his composure. Gu Shan sat on the cold ground, silently thinking for a long time. Compared to the war god Yui's samsara secret, the shadow's secret was obviously much more shocking. But Gu Shan wasn't a person who would panic at the last minute. No matter how shocking these secrets were, no matter how terrifying the crisis facing the 900 million world layers was, they couldn't shake his mind. Even if the divinities were to die in front of him, he wouldn't panic. What truly caused him to feel a chill down his spine was the shadow's voice. It was such a familiar voice. Even if Gu Shan was an idiot, he would still be able to recognize the owner of the voice. Indeed, it was Gu Shan's own voice. Gu Shan looked up, his eyes filled with confusion. I was clearly an orphan of the Freedom Federation. My parents passed away in an accident when I was young. When I graduated from high school, because I got too close to Sushare, I was framed by the Nine Lords. After World's Apocalypse Online descended, I loaded the Order half a year later than everyone else and began to travel between the two worlds. After struggling for a long time, I finally became a Sword Saint. Finally, on top of Demon Cloud's river, faced with humanity's defeat, I and my comrades unleashed one final attack and killed that demon lord. And when I woke up again, I found myself lying on a pile of corpses. This was the era before the cultivation world was destroyed, as well as the beginning of the demon invasion. Back in my homeworld, time had returned to the day I graduated from high school. Every step I took was clear. Why would I run into a shadow from the age of old in this world tomb? Why does its voice sound exactly the same as mine? It used to be a person's shadow. Who was that person? I don't have time to think about it. Within the empty space, countless blurred lines of light were gathering at an unimaginable speed. The entire reality once again appeared in front of Gu Shan's eyes. He had returned. All right, Let's split up and see if there's any mechanism hidden in this statue. Meow was eager to give it a try. Bali was already heading towards the bronze face's mouth. He loudly declared, "I'm willing to bet that this divinity statue's mouth will lead us to the Samsara world tomb." Gu Qingshan silently stared at everything in front of her. Seems like no one but me knows what happened just now. Chapter 704. Bali and Meow began to look around the bronze statue's face. Gu Qingshan just stood there blankly. There were so many thoughts in his mind that he couldn't calm down. For some reason, just looking at the bronze statue reminded him of that giant corpse. The corpse was trapped in a sealed world by the bronze pillar, unable to escape. Perhaps that bronze pillar was also a creation of the old gods. If I go there again, I'll definitely ask that giant corpse what it was. What's even stranger was that monster. It ate the giant corpse's flesh. It even called my name and tried to kill me. Fortunately, after being frozen by the armor of God, I and the Earth Sword managed to kill that monster with everything we had. It said that I'm pitiful. Pitiful. Gu Qingshan had so many questions. At the time, I was too weak. The armor of God could only buy me a few breaths worth of time, and the Earth Sword could only attack once. Besides killing that monster, I had no other way to capture it and slowly ask it a few things. Now everything is a mystery. With the information that I have, Gu Qingshan couldn't come up with anything. This is a bit depressing. Gu Qingshan lowered her gaze and silently sighed. Meow finally noticed that Gu Qingshan's expression wasn't right. She jumped onto the bronze statue's nose and carefully observed Gu Qingshan. "Gu Qingshan, what's wrong?" she asked. "It's nothing," Gu Qingshan forced a smile. "I just think that the key to opening the world tomb might lie in the statue's eye. So you've been standing there without moving just now because you were thinking of something?" Meow was surprised. Bali also heard what Gu Qingshan said. He couldn't find anything from the bronze statue's mouth, so he stood up and asked, "You think it's the eye?" He leapt towards the statue's eye. "The left eye," Gu Qingshan reminded him. Bali nodded and landed on the edge of the bronze statue's left eye. He squatted down and placed his hand on the surface of the bronze eye to feel it. After a while, Bali said loudly, "There really is a problem." "What's going on?" Meow asked from afar. "This eye is loose, it can move." As Bali spoke, he pressed down forcefully. The eyes of the bronze face gradually sank, leaving only two black holes on the surface of the bronze statue. There was a moment of silence. Suddenly, two brilliant rays of light appeared in the statue's eyes. With these two eyes of light, the entire statue immediately came to life. The bronze statue opened its mouth and let out a long sigh. It stared at Bali, then at Meow, then at Gu Qingshan. "Were you the ones who awakened me?" the bronze statue asked. "Yes, it's us," Bali replied. "You did very well," the bronze statue praised. "This place is a relatively unique world tomb that the old gods set up before they left to open it. One thing must be done. To fuse the scattered samsara into a single world, the river of time has flowed for far too long. Until today, when someone finally managed to fuse the human, Azura, heaven, Huang Quan, hungry wraith, and animal worlds together, although we have already left, we will still find out about this and feel gratified." Bali and Meow exchanged surprised glances. They were both heroes who had gone through so much, so they could naturally tell what the bronze face was trying to say. "Esteemed old gods, why did you wish for the samsara worlds to be fused into one?" Meow asked. "Because this was one of our conjectures, and we were just about to complete it. But due to some unforeseen circumstances, we were unable to do so in time," the bronze face answered. Bali and Meow were both confused, unable to understand what the other party was talking about. There's something that the old gods couldn't do? Gu Qingshan, on the other hand, was shaken. He suddenly felt enlightened. So after the old gods created the samsara worlds, they wanted to fuse the 6 worlds into one. For some reason, their actions were discovered by the enemy. The samsara worlds were destroyed. That's why the old gods couldn't do it. Why didn't you have time to do it? Gu Qingshan tried asking. The bronze face paused. "This isn't something you should know," the bronze face answered. Gu Qingshan immediately asked. Very well, then please tell me, what will happen after the samsara worlds are fused? The bronze face paused again. It sighed deeply and spoke. The fusion of the samsara represents a certain possibility, but this isn't something you should know. The bronze face didn't answer any more questions and simply said, and now, this unique world tomb will be awakened. Bali asked in a low voice. What does awakening mean? I remember that world tombs are all hidden spaces within the void of space. All you need to do is enter at this point. He also felt that something wasn't right. This is a unique world tomb, the bronze face replied. The three of them exchanged glances. They couldn't help but recall the people from God Institute at the same time. They came to this world in order to find a unique world tomb for their god. At this point, the bronze face continued. You have fused the samsara worlds. Although it is only the tiniest bit, it is still an unprecedented improvement for living beings. So the tower of reality that we have hidden here will be awakened. Following its words, the entire world began to tremble. Look, Meow called out. A few dozen meters away from the bronze face, a tall tower that gave off a cold metallic glow shot up to the sky. This was a tower made entirely of bronze. It came out from the ground and shot straight up to the sky, only slowing down after reaching the clouds. Rumble, rumble. As the world trembled, the tall tower stood firmly between the heavens and the earth. It was so grand and majestic that anyone who looked at it would feel a sense of reverence and worship. Meow exclaimed in shock. Isn't this the Spire Keeper Association's Tower of Knowledge? The bronze face replied. No, this is not the Tower of Knowledge. This is the Tower of Infinite Worlds that the old gods created, the Tower of Infinite Worlds. Indeed, in the Tower of Knowledge, living beings can use various methods to obtain knowledge of the infinite worlds. But in this Tower of Infinite Worlds, all the laws of the infinite worlds are present. Living beings can complete all kinds of tests and become stronger through it. Each person who enters this tower will face a different trial. Each time they complete a trial, they will be able to advance to the next floor. The higher the floor, the more generous the rewards. What kind of rewards are there? Bali asked. Secret techniques to advance, crucial items for evolution, skills, weapons, treasures, equipment, unique professions, etc. Living beings can climb this tower to continuously evolve and become stronger. This is the method that the old gods left for living beings to save themselves. Bali and Meow silently listened, then couldn't help but look back at the bronze tower that reached all the way to the sky. That's incredible. Meow couldn't help but exclaim. Bali sighed. The old gods truly are compassionate to be able to create such a thing, all for the sake of making living beings stronger. The bronze face smiled. The old gods love living beings. The old gods have compassion for living beings. The growth and existence of every living being would bring joy and comfort to the old gods. Bali and Meow couldn't help but nod. The old gods of creation left such a tower for the living beings of the infinite worlds. Other than feeling compassion for living beings and hoping for them to live a better life, there was no other reason for this. Gu Qingshan silently listened without saying anything. He knew more, so his heart was already cold. Why would the old gods do everything in their power to make living beings stronger? They simply wanted the living beings to form a barrier that would be able to stop them for a bit longer. This was clearly a despicable act, yet the old gods made it sound so noble. Gu Qingshan slowly became angry. But how could the living beings of the infinite worlds give up on becoming stronger? The ones facing the true danger were the living beings of the infinite worlds who were being pushed by the old gods. They had to become stronger in order to have a sliver of hope to survive. Perhaps not even that sliver of hope. Without a sliver of hope to survive, they had to become stronger to stop the enemies for the old gods. What a tragic truth this was. Could it be that the living beings of the infinite worlds didn't have a way to survive? Could it be that the living beings of the infinite worlds could only be used as a defensive tool by the old gods? Gu Qingshan gritted his teeth. Intense unwillingness boiled in his chest. He had to do everything in his power to suppress the despair and rage in his heart. No, my fate as well as the fate of the living beings of the infinite worlds, shouldn't be just this. There must be a way. Gu Shan forced himself to calm down, focus his mind, and seriously pondered. He suddenly recalled what happened before. That was the last thing the eternal shadow said before it dissipated. The old gods had created many things that were more powerful than themselves. So before the infinite worlds are completely destroyed, no one can say for sure that nothing unexpected would happen. The words were still fresh in his mind and ears. Gu Shan kept mulling over the other party's words over and over again. At a certain moment, an unprecedented thought suddenly popped up in his mind. Indeed, just like the old gods' wish, the living beings of the infinite worlds should continue to grow stronger. But this wasn't to become a better defensive tool for the old gods. Because the living beings were created by the old gods, but who could say that the living beings couldn't surpass the old gods? Only by becoming stronger than the old gods would they be able to forge a path out of despair and reach true hope. Only by surpassing the old gods would they be able to overcome all difficulties. This was the path that the living beings should take. Gu Shan clenched his fist tightly. Chapter 705. Bali looked at the bronze tower that stretched all the way into the sky and felt a bit worried. This kind of creation of divinity will most likely cause a storm of blood, he said. Gu Shan asked, "You mean there will be a lot of people who want to obtain this world in this tower?" Bali replied, "That's right. According to the bronze face, this tower contains all laws and can help living beings of all races become stronger. I'm guessing that once this news gets out, it'll cause a huge commotion," Meow continued. "Then there will be more and more troubles. All sorts of difficulties will come one after another. And in the end, all forces will come to blows. This has happened too many times. That's indeed a problem. At least that God from God Institute already knows about this," Gu Shan commented. The three of them were worried. At this point, the bronze face spoke. "You don't need to worry. Divinity has already predicted such a situation." The three of them looked at the bronze face. The bronze face continued. "When the samsara fuses and the Tower of Infinite Worlds rises, divinity will provide this world with stable protection. How will it be protected?" Gu Shan looked down at the bronze face and asked. The bronze face answered, "When I disappear, the laws of the world I contain will change the dimensional properties of this world, turning it into a super-dimensional world, a super-dimensional world. As long as you know the coordinates of this super-dimensional world, any world can surpass the limits of space and time to directly arrive at this world. But the prerequisite is that the ruler of this super-dimensional world has to allow them to enter. Otherwise, the superdimensional world is basically a safe house that no external forces can enter." It was because of the Justice Iron Fist Club that Bali was able to endure his injuries until it was time for him to fully recover. Without his and Meow's permission, no one can enter the Justice Iron Fist Club. Hearing the bronze face, Bali and Meow both sighed in relief. Gu Shan also nodded. It can't be denied that the old gods' protection measures were quite good. Wait, if this world has become a super-dimensional world, then who is the master of this world? Bali sharply asked. The one who fuses the samsara will become the master of the super-dimensional world, the bronze face said. It looked at Gu Shan and said, "If I'm not wrong, the one who fused with the world was you." "Yes," Gu Shan admitted. "You need something to hold this world's super-dimensional authority. Things?" Gu Shan looked at Bali and Meow. "I don't know much about this, but Bali and Meow are the masters of a super-dimensional world." Bali and Meow were already laughing. Bali replied, "That's right, both the super-dimensional beacons and channels require a certain item to activate," Meow explained. "This is something you need to pay attention to. You need to choose something that's related to this world and not easily damaged as the superdimensional authority holder. You need to choose carefully, otherwise, if the item is damaged, the transfer of the superdimensional authority will be very troublesome," Bali added. Gu Shan thought for a bit, then reached his hand into the void of space behind him. The Six Paths Great Mountain Sword appeared in his hand. A beautiful figure appeared on top of the sword. "Gongzi, I'm worried that I won't be able to handle this. Shanu was a bit worried. Gu Shan smiled and replied, It's fine. Other than you, no one else would be able to shoulder such a responsibility. Shanu was surprised. Why do you say that? Gongzi? Gu Shan explained. You have 3 thaumaturgies, invincible, lawbreaker, and living's wisdom. If one day I'm no longer here, take the Devil King Warden Rod, cross the Forgetting River, return to the Huang Quan realm, and hide in the Grand Tai Wei Mountain. If that's the case, no one would be able to open the dimensional passage to this world. This world will also not be plotted, occupied, or even destroyed by any external force. This is my final protection for this world. Shanu went silent briefly, then nodded. Understand, Gongzi. She once again hid inside the 6 Paths Great Mountain. Sword. The bronze humanoid face watched the scene unfold before him. Only then did he ask, Have you chosen? I have Gu Shan for the 6 Paths Great Mountain Sword out. Very well. My mission is complete. I can finally enter the eternal dream of peace. Saying so, the bronze face began to crumble. It turned into countless bronze-colored gravel and swept through the air. The countless grains of sand that gave off a bronze glow split into 2 directions. The majority of the grains of sand flew into the sky and slowly disappeared. At the same time, the entire world began to tremble. A small portion of the grains of sand began to revolve around the 6 Paths Great Mountain Sword. Finally, they were all absorbed into the sword. The sword that was originally as clear as water slowly began to give off an air of vicissitudes and ancientness. A dignified presence began to fluctuate from the sword. This was the power of the divinities. They were assigning authority to a newly born super-dimensional world. A few moments later, all the supernatural phenomena disappeared. The 6 Paths Great Mountain Sword once again returned to Gu Shan's hand. Lines of glowing text quickly appeared on the War God UI. Your sword has undergone a new change. This sword's properties have changed, as shown below. 6 Paths Great Mountain Sword, World-Worshipping Sword, Divine Armament of Huang Quan Path. This sword is the manifestation of the Grand Tai Wei Mountain's law. This sword has the following thaumaturgies: invincible. All laws and powers of the 10 worlds are unable to damage this sword. Lawbreaker. None of the laws of the infinite worlds are able to affect this sword. Living's wisdom. With your permission, Shanu will grasp all of your skills and experience. Wield the 6 Paths Great Mountain Sword to fight for you, or fight alongside you. Divine Mountain World Protection. During the 3 crucial moments of a world's birth, transformation, and destruction, the 6 Paths Great Mountain Sword will be able to control the Grand Tai Wei Mountain. World Control. The wielder of this sword will be able to control a newly born super-dimensional world. After Gu Shan read through the information, it disappeared. New information appeared on the War God UI. The world will be altered by the power of the divinities. The duration will be between 9 to 99 days. During this period, the new world will gradually gain the properties of a super-dimensional world. In 3 minutes, the alteration will officially begin. Living beings will no longer be able to enter or leave this world. The War God system recommends that you use this period of time to climb the Tower of Infinite Worlds. Reading the information on the War God UI, Gu Shan silently pondered. For a few moments. Congratulations, Gu Shan. You haven't become a ruler yet, but you've already gained your own super-dimensional world. Miao came up to congratulate her. Bali also smiled. That's right. Not only does he have a super-dimensional world, he also has this Tower of Infinite Worlds. It seems our club won't have to owe anyone anymore. That's right. Miao happily clapped her hands. From now on, there will be countless people begging us to enter this world. At this point, Bali's expression became serious again. Miao. Only you, me, and Gu Shan will know about what happened today. You absolutely cannot tell anyone else. Don't worry, bro. Before Gu Shan matures, I won't reveal anything about him or this world, Miao said. Bali nodded. Once the superdimensional world is fully formed, Gu Shan will then completely seal it off. That way, as long as the 3 of us don't say anything, No one will know about this. Gu Qing Shan, you can make good use of this Tower of Infinite Worlds and see if you can quickly grow stronger. As Gu Qing Shan listened to the two of them talking about how happy and considerate they were for him, it would be a lie to say that he wasn't moved. He smiled and said, "Bali Meow, I'm afraid I'll have to leave this world in your care for the time being." Bali and Meow were both stunned. Gu Qing Shan continued, "You can climb the Tower of Infinite Worlds, or you can go sightseeing in this world, taste every delicacy, drink every fine wine. Impartial Goddess, all of their expenses are on me." "Understood, sir." Impartial Goddess voice came from the hollow brain. "Also, you have to keep today's matter secret." "Don't worry, sir. I won't say a single word," Impartial Goddess replied. "Wait a minute," Bali called out. "You're saying it like you're going to leave? What's going on?" Gu Qing Shan calmly replied, "I'm worried about my Shifu. After all, she's only just become the leader of the Alliance. She still has to fight against the Demon Nation. War has always been a complicated matter, and she's only just taken the position, so there might be a lot of internal conflicts. My senior brother doesn't like to cultivate, and junior sister is still young, so I'm also worried about them. With you two overlords here, I'm very assured. That's why I have to return to Shenwu World right now." Chapter 706. Bali crossed his arms. "Help you look after this world? I might as well go back with you and see what the Cultivation Alliance is up to." Meow pulled her brother's hand and said, "Bro, that won't do. I can already sense it. The space of this world is becoming stagnant. We won't be able to enter or leave very soon." "What? And we won't be able to return once we leave?" "That's not it either. But the space trembling will continue for a very long time. We won't be able to return for at least a few dozen days. Isn't that perfect? If we can't enter or leave, no one will be able to come," Bali replied. Meow sighed, feeling a headache coming on. "Bro, did you forget about that God from God Institute?" Bali slapped his forehead and finally realized. Meow continued, "We were all fooled before, thinking that it was already dead, but if that thing really is God, and I'm just saying if, then as an entity that created the world before the superdimensional world stabilizes, there are loopholes in the laws. It might be able to open this world." Bali nodded, finally understanding what his sister was trying to say. "You're saying, we'll have to stay here? Yes, I won't die in battle. I'll be able to stand in front, while you'll be able to bring the entire world population to safety during battle. Yes, only after this world has fully become superdimensional, the closed superdimensional passage will appear. The world will be safe, and our mission will be complete." "Bro, you've improved quite a bit. You're able to think so much now." Meow was a bit surprised. "That's why I'll leave it to you." Gu Qing Shan followed up. He glanced at the War God UI. There was only 1 minute left on the UI. Bali and Meow both nodded. "All right, this great one isn't in a hurry to climb the Tower of Infinite Worlds. I want to go to the best bar, the best casino." Bali smirked. "I want to go shopping." Gu Qing Shan, "Do you have enough savings? Do you need me to work for money?" Meow asked. Gu Qing Shan slapped her forehead. "Impartial Goddess, I understand. You don't have to worry about money. All right, take them out to play. I'll leave this task to you." "With pleasure." Gu Qing Shan looked at Bali and Meow again. The two of them smiled and nodded. Only then did Gu Qing Shan relax. A curtain of light flashed. He disappeared from this world. After he left, the smiles on Bali and Meow's faces immediately disappeared. "Sister. Gu Qing Shan seems to know something. Do you think what he knows is the same as what we know?" "Not likely. Anyway, we can't tell him what we know, or we'll drag him down with us." "That's true," Bali sighed. "I didn't think the situation would change so quickly. Even the Samsara worlds were able to fuse into one. I'm starting to suspect that the old gods still have other arrangements that we still haven't come into contact with. There's no need to think about it. We need to focus and get through this first," Meow said seriously. "How's the situation on the Blood Sea?" "He's still searching for the secret of the Doomsday Cemetery. It's not a good time to expose himself." Bali wasn't willing to give up and continued to ask, "Is there anyone else in the organization who can help?" "No, the Big Rooster is also recovering from his wounds. The machine gun has already gone to God Institute. Now we can only hope that the Spirekeeper Association scouting team can cause a bit more trouble for God Institute. Otherwise we'll have to face that guy directly," Meow said. This reminded Bali. He took out a blank newspaper from his chest and opened it in front of him. "Today's news," he said to the newspaper. Many pictures and words appeared on the blank newspaper. "HM, this news, sister, take a look," Bali said. "What news?" Meow asked. She also took out a newspaper and read today's news. On the cover was the machine gun. It was firing furiously at a magnificent building. The headline read, "The Spirekeeper Association's scouting team has just arrived at God Institute." The brother and sister quickly finished reading the headline. "The machine gun is clearly going all out. Seems like the battle is quite intense," Bali commented. "But this is good news for us. I just hope that they can stall for a bit longer until this world's super-dimensional transformation is complete," Meow commented. "That's right. After all, there's still such a treasure here. If the outside world knew about it, a lot of people would go crazy." The two of them looked towards the Tower of Infinite Worlds at the same time. A tall tower, made of bronze, stood there quietly. This was the method of self-preservation that the creator gods left for living beings. "This is a good thing. We need to protect this world," Bali clenched his fist. "Then let's wait here," Meow sighed and said. At this point, the sound of an aircraft came from the sky. An interstellar warship had arrived above this place. The hatch opened as a small-sized mobile mech descended from the sky, landing in front of the brother and sister. Impartial Goddess' voice came from the mobile mech. "Greetings, Sir Guqin Shan. I'm here on behalf of Sir Guqin Shan." The mobile mech reached its hand out and handed two thin cards as thin as a cicada's wings to the brother and sister. "What's the use of this?" Bali asked. "Currency payment card, no limit to the amount," Impartial Goddess replied. Bali received the card. "Aside from currency, what other functions are there?" Meow asked. "All travel issues can be solved. You can contact me through this card. Look for bars, casinos, tourist attractions, and vacation spots. Are there places to shop?" The coordinates of his shopping areas are marked and explained, but since the war has just ended, the shopping centers are still quite empty. "That's fine. It's better if there aren't many people saying so." Meow also received the card. "Bro, how about we relax for a bit?" Meow asked. Of course, Bali immediately agreed. Impartial Goddess asked, "What do you want to do first? No matter if it's for sightseeing or dining, I can recommend the best service location for you too. We want to eat the most expensive meal in the world," Bali loudly shouted. Impartial Goddess then showed the coordinates on the two cards. "These coordinates are all the most famous restaurants in the world," Impartial Goddess explained. Meow glanced over and said, "I've already chosen one, bro. Let's go. I want to ask again. Can this card really be used without limit?" Bali couldn't help but ask again. "Yes, sir. Please use it without worry," Impartial Goddess answered. "All right, let's go," Bali said. Meow took Bali's hand, about to use teleportation. She suddenly paused, then curiously asked the mech, "Who exactly are you?" "I am Impartial Goddess, as well as a friend of Her Excellency Guqin Shan. Nice to meet you," Impartial Goddess answered. "You're called Impartial Goddess? But you don't have any presence of a divinity on you, which means you're a woman of this world? How about we go shopping and try on some clothes later? I still haven't made any friends in this world." Meow smiled and invited. The mech stayed silent, not answering right away. "Let's go. Let's try some of this world's delicacies first," Bali urged. Meow didn't ask anything else. Finally, she reminded, "Impartial Goddess, if any samsara living beings don't follow the rules, you can contact us at any time." "Very well. In place of Her Excellency Guqin Shan, I thank you too," Impartial Goddess replied. Meow nodded to the mech, then used a warp spell. The brother and sister both disappeared. But the mech didn't move. It stood still, staying silent for a very, very long time. On another side, the North Pole, the S.W. Divine Temple Interstellar Fortress had arrived. It hovered above the Nine Lords spaceship, still methodically deciphering the spaceship's secrets. At a certain point, deep inside the S.W. Divine Temple Interstellar Fortress, on a large screen, all the frantically flashing data disappeared. A few lines of text appeared on the screen. "The Starlight Empire's core military plan has been deciphered. The following top-notch research results have been obtained. Research results: excellent gene combination arrangement plan, obtained experimental database, obtained the Starlight Empire's royal gene vault, obtained all relevant technology. After checking the relevant experimental data, confirmed that the technology is still immature, lacking relevant experimental data, technical status, sealed. Reason for sealing. Due to the Interstellar Republic and GL Alliance's sudden attack, the Empire fell. All experimental subjects were destroyed before they could awaken. The Nine Lords are now in exile. Impartial Goddess went silent for a few seconds. No one knows what she's thinking right now. A few moments later, another line of text appeared on the screen. Decision. Excellent gene combination arrangement plan will be restarted. Begin using all available resources to conduct the corresponding experiments, collecting data to improve the gene combination technology. The project's level of confidentiality, top secret, insider setting. Guqing Shan, to shorten the research period and increase the research efficiency. The project's research objective has been reduced. From the 2 research objectives, decided to delete. Male gene combination. Optimization, research objective confirmed. Female gene combination optimization. From this, the project's name shall be changed. The project shall be renamed Goddess Awakening. Extracting the gene bank, conducting the related experiments according to the previous research results. Preparation of culture tank. Chapter 707. The Fuxi Empire. The capital, ruled by Monarch Verona's Iron Fist. Everything here was in perfect order. The empire's most famous, most sought-after Sky Garden restaurant. Bali sat there by himself, facing the table full of delicious dishes. Praise the gods for creating such a world. This roast meat is really good. What did you put in the rice? You think I can't tell? Waiter, please give me another portion. The soup is so fresh. Is this a dessert? It's delicious. I swear I'll never eat space monsters again. I'll come here whenever I have time. Please give me another portion of this dish. While eating, he couldn't help but exclaim. An hour ago, Meow had already left the table. She wiped her mouth, threw down the napkin, and hurriedly left. Impartial Goddess had recommended a few good places to go shopping, all of which made Meow's heart skip a beat. Bali sat there by himself, eating for another hour. Because this was a private room, no one came to watch him eat. The restaurant's owner and the waiter had received some sort of vague notification. They knew that 2 esteemed professionists were coming to eat. That's why the waiters could understand why Bali was stuffing himself with food for over an hour straight. Professionists are always different from normal people. The waiter quickly brought Bali a new dish, as well as cleaned up the empty plates. His movements were skillful and light, not disturbing Bali's meal at all. Since Bali was happily eating, he naturally didn't care about these minor details. The leftover plates were sent to the washing area according to the usual procedure, then neatly placed there. The restaurant would probably have to wait until after the restaurant closed for the night before they would wash and disinfect the plates. With the automatic cleaning machine, this is a very quick process. Another half an hour later, Bali was finally full. He waved his hand and gave his card to the waiter. You can take a small tip yourself. Don't stand on ceremony, he said straightforwardly. The waiter smiled and quickly completed the checkout procedure. Then, he presented the card to Bali. Sir, the bill has been settled. Thank you for your patronage. Please come again next time, the waiter said respectfully. Bali nodded, took the card, and walked out of the restaurant with a satisfied smile. Next, he would go to a casino and stay there until midnight. After gambling to his heart's content, he planned to go to a bar to drink some hard liquor and kill some time. What a wonderful day it is. After Bali left the restaurant, it wasn't until he was sure that he had arrived at a casino and was about to go on a killing spree. Only then did the 2 waiters come to the tableware washing machine. They carefully picked out a few special plates from the hundreds of plates. These plates had all been used by Bali and Meow. The 2 waiters moved very quickly. The plates were packed into a large sealed box. At the back door of the restaurant, a large transport shuttle carrying side dishes and seafood had already been waiting for a long time. The sealed box was put into the cargo hold. The large transport shuttle flew smoothly according to its predetermined route, until it reached the outskirts of the Empire's capital before stopping. This was a warp hub. After the world first enlarged, Impartial Goddess had established warp hubs around every human city in order to make it easier for humanity to deal with any situation. The seal box was directly warped away. No one knew where the box was sent to. Only, deep inside the SW Divine Temple, a large screen showed the relevant information. Beginning collection of saliva. After 25 collection procedures, the woman called Meow didn't leave a single trace on the tableware, only the saliva of the man called Bali. Beginning extraction of oral exfoliated cells from saliva. Extraction failed. Extraction failed. Extraction failed. Extraction successful. Extracting targeted cells, using extraction reagents to extract corresponding DNA. DNA of a man named Barley has been obtained. Due to his personal strength, use him as an important sample for further analysis, adding him to the gene bank. Begin second step of the plan, attempting to obtain Meow's personal DNA at another location. On a busy street, a certain clothing store. When Meow arrived at this store, she had already changed her clothes from head to toe, as well as a small and exquisite new handbag on her shoulder. She picked up a lipstick and carefully applied it on her lips in front of the mirror. A few moments later, she smiled in satisfaction. "Please help me wrap this one, and this one up. I want them all." She pointed at the clothes she had tried on. "Very well, esteemed lady. The total is 128,000 credits. The waitress answered. Meow threw the card out. The waitress received the card and began the transaction. The clothes had already been quickly wrapped up. Because she bought so many things, Meow directly became this brand's VIP, even receiving a VIP card. She curiously received the VIP card and threw it together with all the clothes into the void of space. When she was 11 years old, she had already opened a portable space for herself as her own personal cloakroom. Unfortunately, there had only been a few clothes in this space. But now it's different. The cloakroom is almost full. How annoying, Meow muttered in a low voice. But there wasn't a single hint of annoyance in her tone. Fine, I'll just open a second portable space later. Meow tilted her head in thought, then happily made her decision. Lady, the transaction has been completed. Here is your card. The waitress respectfully returned the card to Meow. Meow received the card and carefully put it back into the small bag she was carrying with her. She couldn't help but be careful. This card gave her treatment that she had never experienced before. No need to put up a tab, no need to look at other people's unhappy expressions. Everyone was happy and willing to serve you, making the entire shopping process a pleasant one. So spending money feels so good. I repeat, this isn't putting up a tab, this is spending money. This is what spending money is. Meow felt like she had fallen deeply in love with this world. She left the clothing store and continued to shop. On the way, Impartial Goddess Shopping Guide was very useful, as Meow's mind and body were both relaxed and unsatisfied. Following Impartial Goddess Shopping Guide, she was heading to the next place. That place was one of the top 3 private styling centers in the world. Meow quickly arrived outside the store. She looked up and saw the sign. On the large poster, a graceful and elegant woman was smiling elegantly and confidently. Don't tell me it's plastic surgery? Meow asked worriedly. Don't worry, that's not the case. Impartial Goddess' voice came. Their shop is most famous for their appearance design and maintenance. You could do a deep skin cleansing, followed by a white and watery moisturizer. As for styling, I've arranged for 6 stylists. They'll be responsible for your hair and overall appearance. Hearing that, Meow couldn't help but touch her hair, then her face. That's right, I can't even remember the last time I did some skincare. My hair is so long now, I really haven't had the time to trim it. What kind of life did I have before? Meow quickly walked in. Welcome, huh? You must be the esteemed guest who made an appointment. Please come with me. 2 hours later, Impartial Goddess obtained Meow's hair. Female character named Meow's DNA successfully obtained. Due to her personal strength, she will be treated as a key specimen for storage and analysis, combining Starlight Royal Family superior DNA, beginning first breeding and experiment. Gene collection plan continues, extracting DNA samples from all prominent figures of this world. Starlight of Nine Lords' DNA has been prepared. Through analysis, Medici clan's DNA has been determined to be unique. Third step of plan established, attempting to extract Medici clan DNA from Monarch Verona. Begin. Chapter 708. Late at night. This was a high ground that was rarely visited by humans. Surrounded by mountains, there was a large lake. Clouds darker than the night sky drifted over, covering the entire lake. Sparks of lightning appeared from the clouds, descending on the surface of the lake. From afar, it looked as if strings of pearls were falling from the sky, a beautiful sight to behold under the night sky. But as these pearls fell onto the surface of the lake, they were shattered by sharp sword phantoms, scattering into streaks of lightning in the sky. Between heaven and earth, the sound of thunder resounded throughout the world. The intense lightning became brighter and brighter. Like starlight, the tribulation lightning was descending from all directions towards the lake. Under the illumination of the lake, heaven and earth seemed to have been filled with lightning. At the center of all the lightning, which was also the center of the lake, stood a tiny human cultivator. He swung his sword phantoms, piercing through the boundless sea of lightning. This cultivator wielded two swords, using his own strength to resist the lightning. The rumbling of thunder lasted for nearly 2 hours before it gradually dissipated. But the world didn't return to peace. Intense wind was blowing on the surface of the lake. Roars and cries announced that many unknown existences were slowly descending into this world. For a while, the screams and cries of ghosts could be heard. All kinds of strange creatures from the Devil Realm and Devil Realm began to appear in the wind. Killing intent rose. Surrounded by devils and devils, the cultivator, facing the tribulation, put his swords away. He clasped his fist, smiling as he said something to the void of space. If someone from the cultivation world were to witness this scene, they would definitely be shocked beyond belief. Because during the tribulation realm tribulation, 18 devil kings and devil kings of the 18 seats of tribulation would lead their subordinates to kill the cultivator facing the tribulation. This was a tribulation that cultivators had to face. Over the past generations, everyone had tried their best to deal with it. But this person was greeting the devils and devils inside the wind tribulation. Even more strangely, this actually worked. Within the rampaging wind, the screams and screams slowly faded away. Then there were all sorts of voices. As time passed, these voices became more friendly. More and more devils and devils gathered. They gathered inside the wind tribulation, excitedly discussing something with the cultivator. As time passed, their conversation became more and more congenial. The Tiamat who occupied one of the seats of tribulation was already standing next to the cultivator. The ghost kings laughed loudly. The demon kings, on the other hand, were thinking about how to befriend this cultivator. Some devils who didn't understand the situation were privately asking about what happened a while ago. That famous thing. It was a no-cost business for 200 million souls. At that time, every devil king and ghost king who participated earned a lot. And now, the person in charge of that business was standing in front of everyone. With such a rich man, there were many devils who wanted to get close to him and befriend him. As for defeating him and killing him, how was that possible? The devils weren't fools. They already knew who he was the moment he introduced himself. The number 3 of the Justice Iron Fist Club. The Ghost King of the Samsara Yellow Springs. This was an absolutely ruthless character. If you pissed him off, you wouldn't end up well. The few Ghost Kings who had participated in the wind tribulation last time had already exposed him completely. They heard that he slaughtered his way through an entire layer of hell, killing trillions of dead people without blinking. Furthermore, in another battle, he ordered his subordinates to devour all the invading demons. So, it's best to make friends and do business. The more friends you have, the easier the road ahead will be. That was what the evil creatures thought. And so, the atmosphere of the heavens' tribulation slowly became friendly and harmonious. But happy times always go by quickly. In the blink of an eye, the wind tribulation was about to end. Everyone chatted for a bit longer, exchanged contact information, and agreed to have tea and business together in the future. Following that, all the Devil Kings and Devil Kings drew their weapons and bid farewell to the cultivator. Clang, 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 clang. Clang, 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 clang. 18 crisp sounds of weapons clashing echoed back and forth in the wind tribulation. Everyone reluctantly said their goodbyes. The wind, it slowly stopped. The heavens tribulation was truly over. Gu Qingshan smiled and waved goodbye to all the evil creatures. After all the evil creatures had left and returned to their own worlds, Gu Qingshan finally put down his sore arms. He was a bit troubled. Facing the Devil Kings and Devil Kings of the 18 seats of tribulation, he had to greet and talk to every single one of them. He couldn't ignore any of them. He also had to act as a middleman and introduce the evil creatures that he wasn't familiar with to each other. As for his future business, he had to seriously listen to everyone's opinions and come up with something useful for his next business plan. This really is... Why did I turn the heavens tribulation into this? If that's the case, I might as well fight to my heart's content. At least I'll be able to earn some soul points, right? But now that their relationship had been established, he couldn't just go up and kill a few evil creatures that greeted him with a smile. That wasn't like him. In the Tianma, for some reason, Liang seemed to be busy with something this time and didn't come to preside over the Tianma's seed of tribulation. The one who came was one of her younger sisters. This younger sister of hers was using everything she could think to tempt him. Gu Qingshan almost couldn't help himself. His hand was already on his sword several times, almost wanting to cut her down. But after thinking about it carefully, Gu Qingshan only managed to restrain himself because it wasn't easy to establish a relationship with the Tianma. Liang was also quite nice to him, and the progenitor fiendess wasn't someone to be messed with. Fortunately, it's all over now. Gu Qingshan sighed in relief and looked at the war god UI. Lines of glowing text appeared on it. This heaven's tribulation has ended. Thanks to the blessing of the world's origin, you've successfully broken through to Tribulation Realm. You've become a Tribulation Realm cultivator. Please pay special attention. Breaking through to Projection Realm, Tribulation Realm, and Virtualized Realm will not result in the awakening of your thaumaturgy. You must break through to Cryptic Realm for your thaumaturgy to awaken, Gu Qingshan asked. Is this only for me, or is it for everyone? This is a natural law of cultivation. Every cultivator is the same, the system replied. All right, then we'll talk about it when the time comes. Gu Qingshan closed his eyes and carefully sensed the changes in his cultivation. As expected of a blessing from the world's origin, my spirit energy is calm and stable without any signs of going out of control. And my understanding of the laws of the world has also deepened. As for the total amount of spirit energy, my spirit energy has increased by another 40%, far more than before. This means that I'll be able to change my tactics and fight longer. From now on, I'll be able to continuously use powerful sword formations. That's good news. Sure enough, the feeling of becoming stronger is the best, Gu Qingshan muttered to himself. Right after, he took out a pill, put it in his mouth, and sat cross-legged on top of the water. Although the wind tribulation didn't consume much stamina, the lightning tribulation did. Shenwu world had already fused with the cultivation world, as well as several other worlds. Shifu had also brought all the cultivators of this world to join the Cultivation Alliance. Never mind the geography, even the changes in personnel would be complicated. Because of that, the closer he was to returning to Baihua sect, the calmer Gu Qingshan was. He carefully and cautiously made his preparations. Time quickly passed. After a while, Gu Qingshan opened his eyes. His body had returned to its peak state. He stretched his back, uncrossed his legs, and lightly stood on top of the water. Chapter 709. Standing at the center of the lake, Gu Qingshan was thinking carefully. It's been a very long time since he was this cautious. It's no wonder he's being so cautious. After all, he's already reached a miraculous realm, Tribulation Realm. When he first came to Shenwu world, and met the wild raging flame armor, it had already explained to him about cultivation realms. He still remembered the wild raging flame armor's original words. The highest realm you can reach is Sainted Realm. Above Sainted are the Projection Realm, Tribulation Realm, and Virtualized Realm. Among them, Tribulation Realm is the most unique. A cultivator has to face countless tribulations at this stage. Only when the tribulation is over will they break through and become the true virtualized realm. Because of that, Tribulation Realm cultivators don't have to face the wind lightning tribulation. They have to face all sorts of other tribulations. After they've passed all the tribulations, the cultivator will naturally reach virtualized realm. The suspended world has a common view. Tribulation Realm cultivators are always facing their tribulations. At this point, they have the same understanding as Shenwu World. However, the suspended world cultivators have a much deeper understanding. They believe that this tribulation is related to a cultivator's good deeds and karma. Cultivators who have committed a lot of killing will be plagued by countless sins and karma tribulations at this realm. There was once a demonic cultivator who went through 8,963 tribulations at Tribulation Realm. Finally, he died during the final tribulation before reaching virtualized realm. That tribulation came from his disciple. In the past, when he first entered the sect, he betrayed one of his junior brothers when they were attacking a world. After the junior brother was pushed into a dangerous ruin, he was never heard from again. But this demonic cultivator managed to get his junior brother's fiancée after much coaxing and pestering. Many years had passed since then. Who could have guessed that his junior brother would gain a blessing in disguise and obtain great fortune from the ruin? After cultivating for a few dozen years, he finally broke through. When his junior brother returned, the demonic cultivator was just about to reach virtualized realm. His junior brother took advantage of the last moment of his breakthrough to kill him. Because of that, many cultivators in the suspended world aren't afraid of virtualized realm's tribulation, only the tribulation realm's karma tribulations. After all, cultivators of the suspended world will always have to commit countless sins and face countless karma tribulations. Tribulation realm, from beginning to end, it was a tribulation. Gu Qingshan felt a headache coming on and couldn't help but rub the space between her eyebrows. He tapped his inventory bag and took out a jade tag. This was a secret scripture he found from Guangyang sect in the suspended world, the great elder Wang Hongdao's inventory bag. When Gu Qingshan killed Wang Hongdao with a single strike, Shanu quickly took his inventory bag. As a cryptic realm grand elder, Wang Hongdao's inventory bag is full of good stuff. Now, all these belong to Gu Qingshan. As he lightly held the jade tag, lines of glowing text appeared on the War God UI. Item name: 1,000 Tribulations Karma Detection Secret Technique. Type: Cultivation Method. War God Skills. Those who practice this skill will be able to sense how many tribulations they will have to go through in the Tribulation Realm. Attention! This is a secret art that the cultivators of the suspended world researched specifically for Tribulation Realm cultivators. Although it can help you roughly understand the number of tribulations you will have to go through, it cannot predict when the tribulations will occur. Description: to practice the secret art, you will need to spend 200 soul points. Doomsday Chronicles event description: none. He still had over 80,000 soul points left, so Gu Qingshan paid the 200 soul points right away. Holding the jade tag in hand, he closed his eyes. A warm flow flowed from the jade tag into his finger, followed his arm, and entered his thought sea. Very quickly, Gu Qingshan comprehended this secret art. He formed a hand seal and infused it with spirit energy. Immediately, heaven and earth resonated with him, displaying his past merits and sins in his mind. The corresponding number of tribulations began to manifest. A total of 3 times. 1 at the early stage of tribulation, 1 at the middle stage, and 1 at the late stage. After that, he could advance to virtualized realm. Gu Qingshan opened his eyes, a bit surprised. 3 times was the most basic number of tribulations. Any cultivator of Tribulation Realm would have to face at least 3 tribulations. Could it be that my sins are so few? If that's the case, I've actually saved quite a few people. Regardless, there are only 3 tribulations. As long as I'm careful, I'll be able to get through them. This is something to be happy about. Gu Qingshan's mood instantly improved. Now that this matter has been dealt with, it's time to contact Shifu. After this, everything will depend on the sect situation. Without hesitation, he tapped his inventory bag and took out a unique talisman. This was the universal talisman that Shifu gave him before. If the distance between them isn't too great, one person can put something into the universal talisman, and the other person can take it out. Gu Qingshan then took out 100 Flowers Fairy's communication talisman, spoke a few words into it, and put it into the universal talisman. Almost immediately, he sensed that the communication talisman had disappeared. 100 Flowers Fairy had taken his communication talisman away. Gu Qingshan sighed. It's been a long time since I've seen Shifu. At the time when he went to the suspended world, he tried to activate the universal talisman, but probably because the distance was too far, the talisman couldn't be activated. After returning to Shunwu world, even though this world has become incredibly vast, the universal talisman can be used again. A few moments later, a communication talisman appeared in the universal talisman. Gu Qingshan took it out and infused it with spirit energy. With a sense of concern, 100 Flowers Fairy's voice came from the talisman. Qingshan, someone has been impersonating you recently. Although I've already dealt with them, you shouldn't run around right now to avoid causing more misunderstandings and trouble. Just wait for your 2 junior sisters to pick you up and bring you back. Impersonating me? Gu Qingshan was surprised, but he quickly realized, other than a sword cultivator, who else could possibly impersonate him? Something like that shouldn't have happened in this world. This was most likely done by someone from another cultivation world, or perhaps even someone from the Cultivation Alliance. Seems like the person who did this had already thoroughly investigated Qi Yan's invasion of Shunwu world. At the time, 100 Flowers Fairy and the Great Monk of Sorrow acted together to fight against Qi Yan. In the end, Gu Qingshan brought over 10 million Tianma to send Qi Yan into the Tianma world. Gu Qingshan himself also had no choice but to go to the suspended world. This was something that all cultivators saw with their own eyes. Gu Qingshan scowled. Obviously, the person who planned this knows what Gu Qingshan did. They also know that the person called Gu Qingshan has already disappeared from this world. If there really was someone who could impersonate me, they would definitely be able to obtain a lot of information about this world. But with Shifu here, how could they know? In order to obtain the quota to fuse with the world, Shifu had already joined the Cultivation Alliance. She must have gone out a lot to participate in the Alliance's battles. If she's no longer in this world, and someone deliberately tried to impersonate me, they might actually succeed. After saving Shunwu world, now returning from a faraway world, the person who impersonated me would definitely receive everyone's gratitude. Perhaps the person who impersonated him had already thoroughly investigated the background of this world. The reason why Shifu told me not to run around is probably because she's afraid that cultivators who are overly cautious would attack the real me. Gu Qingshan went silent for a bit, then couldn't help but smile bitterly. Who would have thought that as soon as I went to the suspended world to impersonate Qi Yan, someone would immediately come to Shunwu world to impersonate me? This was really an eye for an eye. Fortunately, his master had already learned of this matter and dealt with it. Chapter 710. Shifu said, I have 2 junior sisters. Could it be that the sect is taking in new people? Gu Qingshan couldn't figure out, so he could only follow 100 Flowers Fairy's order and wait. Not too long later, an airship appeared on the horizon. The airship came very quickly. On both sides of the airship were several dozen fully armored cultivators as guards. Gu Qingshan was shocked to see this. Normally, whenever they go out, it's always him and Xiao Lu who sneak out to find a place to drink. Since when did the sect have this kind of presence? While the airship was still very far away, a loud shout could already be heard above the lake. Who are you? How dare you face your tribulation in this world without any prior notice? Gu Qingshan knew that he misunderstood. These people seemed to be patrolling cultivators, not people from a sect. Gu Shan answered, I am a disciple of Bai Hua sect. The tribulation had just arrived, so I couldn't just ignore it. Please forgive me, everyone, Bai Hua sect. Who are you? The voice on the other side suddenly became louder. This humble one is Gu Shan. As soon as he said that, the other side went silent. Even the airship stopped in midair, no longer moving forward. The voice from before shouted, Send the signal. Yes. The two cultivators replied. An urgent military signal was sent to the sky, lingering in the wind for a long time. Since the signal had been sent, those people all sighed in relief, no longer moving forward and only stood in a defensive stance. Gu Shan's mind quickly turned and understood. These people were alerted by the commotion of my tribulation, so they came to check the situation. Right now, they probably think I'm an imposter. No wonder Shifu told me not to run around. While he was thinking, the situation took a turn for the worse. A few dozen cultivators with formation plates in their hands flew in from afar. They landed in front of the airship, facing Gu Shan, and began to arrange a formation. Layers of light appeared from the formation plates, forming numerous mystical runes before disappearing into the void of space. Gu Shan scowled as he watched. Such a clumsy and slow method of setting up the formation was not something he cared about. That's right, the biggest characteristic of the previous cultivation world was its abundance of resources, while Shunwu world's speciality was its outstanding smithing. But Gu Shan had been to the suspended world. There, the entire world relied on formations to survive. The most outstanding aspect of the suspended world was its formations. After the battle in the sky, in order to escape from that world, Gu Shan used her soul power to improve her formation skills. With his current attainments in the art of formations, he could be considered as one of the best in the suspended world. Therefore, Gu Shan couldn't even be bothered to look at the large-scale formations of the cultivation world. In the sky, the movements of every array master and the details of every array formation were all calculated by him, and he saw through the clues. This was a large-scale binding formation, used to trap enemies and prevent them from using spirit energy. The array was already half set up. In a few more breaths, it would be completed. It would be very troublesome at that time. Gu Shan didn't think too much about it, and tapped his inventory bag to take out a formation plate. A formation plate from the suspended world. His hands were quickly moving on the formation plate. Regardless of whether or not it's a misunderstanding, how could he just give up without a fight? If it's a misunderstanding, I'll just clear it up at the end. If it's not a misunderstanding, he won't let himself fall into a situation where he can't retaliate. For now, both sides were setting up their formations. When the dozens of array masters finished setting up their formations, Gu Shan's was also done. Both sides activated their formations. 4 elements, ceiling, demon, trapping formation, activate. The dozens of array masters shouted at the same time. With a flash of light, the formation slowly rose. Gu Shan also put her hand on the formation plate and infused her spirit energy. A flash of light appeared on the formation plate. 10,000 spirits melting, dispelling formation, activate. 2 vast streaks of spiritual light spread between heaven and earth before crashing into each other. This was a clash between 2 formations. Rumble, rumble. The 2 lights clashed, tangled, and finally disappeared into the void of space at the same time. All the cultivators' expressions changed. They tried to set up the formation first, but couldn't capture the other party. The other party only suddenly acted in the middle of the formation, using his own power to quickly set up a never-before-seen formation. This formation was able to stop the large-scale restraining formation that the dozens of people on their side had set up. What kind of formation expertise is this? Everyone immediately understood the current situation. Suddenly, another signal was sent to the sky. This time, the signal was a bright red, indicating that the situation was even more dangerous than before. Everyone was filled with anger and started talking at the same time. You're not Gu Shan. That's right, Gu Shan doesn't understand the art of formations. Gu Shan is a sword cultivator, not an imposter like you. This person is obviously guilty, As soon as he saw that he was about to be captured, he hurriedly revealed his identity as a formation user. Fiend, which world did you come from? Tell us. Facing these insults, Gu Qing smiled bitterly, feeling a bit helpless. Seems like Shifu's worries were justified. Although I didn't run around, I caused quite a commotion by facing my tribulation as soon as I returned. I didn't tell Shifu about this. Gu Qing could only wave his hand and loudly said, "Everyone wait a moment. I can explain." In the distant void, a cold female voice suddenly rang out. Explain? He's never learned such a high-level formation technique before, so you don't need to explain. Many cultivators were overjoyed when they heard that. It's the general. The general is here. Brat, you won't be able to escape even if you want to. Among the voices, a streak of light quickly flew across the sky towards Gu Qing. A second later, Gu Qing suddenly realized something. Not good, he silently exclaimed. At the same time, a sharp tearing sound resounded in the air. A snow-white blade suddenly lit up. Wherever the blade passed, the air itself was cut open, revealing a black crack in space. The white blade phantom drew a long black crack in the air, descending straight down. The blade went straight for Gu Qingshan's head. What a fast strike! What a ferocious strike! This was a strike that gave up all paths of retreat, a strike that would kill the enemy, even if it meant death. Gu Qingshan knew how powerful this strike was. In that split second, the Six Paths Great Mountain Sword appeared in his hand. Secret art, Crescent Slash. The sword glowed with a bright white crescent as it met the blade. Clang, as the sword and the blade clashed, an ear-piercing sound of metal breaking rang out. The entire heaven and earth trembled. Many formation users who weren't strong enough hurriedly retreated. Just being touched by the shock waves of the sword and the blade was already too much for them to handle. The cold female voice was a bit surprised. This saber strike was actually blocked. She couldn't help but stop in midair and show herself. Gu Qingshan opened his eyes to look. The woman's face was covered in a metal mask that even Soul Vessel couldn't see through. Her slender and voluptuous figure was covered by a thin and intricate armor. The blade in her hand. Her entire body exuded a sharp and frigid killing intent. Ningyue-chan, such an aura. In the entire cultivation world, it couldn't belong to anyone but her. Gu Qingshan sighed and said, how come even you don't recognize me anymore? But I really am me. Ningyue-chan ignored him and coldly replied, there are too many ways in this world to make a shameless person disguise themselves as him. If you can stop my strike, prepare to die a bit more painfully. Gu Qingshan could tell that although her voice was calm, it was also hiding extreme anger. She was in a fight for real. Seeing that Ningyue-chan was about to attack again, Gu Qingshan couldn't help but shout, wait, you ambushed me just now. This time it's my turn to attack first. Ningyue-chan paused. Taking advantage of this opening, Gu Qingshan shamelessly retreated a large distance away. Don't be ridiculous. This girl doesn't care about her own life when she fights. I don't want to keep fighting her. He quickly thought about how to deal with this. Fortunately, he's been through countless life and death situations, so he's very experienced. Under such circumstances, his mind worked even faster. As soon as Ningyue-chan raised her eyebrows, Gu Qingshan thought of a solution. The blade flashed. Ningyue-chan is coming. Gu Qingshan hurriedly retreated again, opened his inventory bag, and took something out. He shouted, take a good look at what this is. He was holding a small white flower in his hand. This is the dragon's tear, extremely beneficial for nourishing the soul vessel. The fragrance is faint and elegant, lingering for a long time, a favorite of female cultivators. Unfortunately, this flower is extremely rare, not even in the resource-rich cultivation world. But Baihua sect has a few. It took the 100 Flowers Fairy a lot of effort to find them in the entire cultivation world. Because Xiuxiu's soul vessel was wounded when she was young, the 100 Flowers Fairy often made her eat the flowers of this tree, hoping that she would recover as soon as possible. After the 100 Flowers Fairy's collection, the dragon's tear became even rarer in the cultivation world. There was a reason why Gu Qingshan took out this flower. When the spirit beast betrayed him, Ning Yuechan was secretly asked by Gu Qingshan to pick him up from the wilderness. At the time, Gu Qingshan gave Ning Yuechan a dragon's tear on the airship. Only the two of them knew about this. Even if the people of the Cultivation Alliance captured every cultivator in this world and used soul reading on them, they wouldn't be able to find out about this. A person like Ning Yu, she would definitely be able to understand the meaning of this flower. This flower is enough to prove that Gu Qingshan wasn't a fake. At the very next moment, the blade stopped abruptly. The fierce blade phantoms suddenly retreated in front of the small white flower. The blade gently touched the flower, as if hiding all of its sharpness. Ning Yuechan stopped her attack, took off her mask, and revealed her kingdom-toppling beauty. Her killing intent had already disappeared without a trace. A pair of limpid eyes met Gu Qingshan's, as if there were a lot of things she wanted to say. But in this kind of situation, how could she let anyone talk in detail? She turned to look at the dragon's tear and casually asked, "From the way it's broken, it seems to be a flower from the same branch." I gave you one the other day. This is the other 1-inch," Gu Qingshan replied. After a bit of thought, he added, "I'll also give this one to you." The small white flower gave off a faint fragrance that calmed everyone's mind. Ning Yuechan put the blade away. She walked up and carefully took the flower. She held it in front of her nose and sniffed it. "There are 2 of them. I can raise them together." Chapter 711. In the sky, one after another, the communication talismans turned into sparks and scattered in all directions. The real Gu Qingshan has returned. The news seemed to have grown wings and spread throughout the world like a thunderclap. But the person in question didn't feel anything at all. He and Ning Yuechan stood on top of the lake, talking about the recent events. Which means, even though you've fused several worlds together, you haven't seen a single living being? Gu Qingshan asked. Ning Yuechan replied, "That's right, up until now, the only people in the entire world are people from our cultivation world. This is very strange, but other than your Shifu, no one else knows for sure what's going on." Gu Qingshan went silent. The samsara was destroyed. Under that terrifying power, many of the world fragments were probably damaged. Interestingly, Gu Qingshan noticed that even after the samsara world was destroyed, the world fragments were still the same samsara. Shunwu world, the cultivation world, and my home world were all made up of samsara worlds. The only one that was unique was the cultivation world. Its heaven realm was nowhere to be found. Could it be that it was completely destroyed? Gu Qingshan stopped thinking and continued to ask, "I'm only here to face a tribulation. Why did that draw you here?" Speaking of this, Ning Yuechan's expression became a bit more serious. "Because we no longer allow any foreign cultivators to enter our world." "Why is that?" "The person who impersonated you obtained a lot of information from our world. It wasn't until he ran into me and your 2 junior sisters that he was seen through. You captured him on the spot." We were afraid that the other worlds might have methods that we don't understand that would allow him to escape. So we didn't disturb him and waited until your Shifu returned to report it." "My Shifu personally acted?" "Yes," Gu Qingshan curiously asked. "Did that person really look like me?" Ning Yushi lightly nodded. "Their organization really did put in a lot of effort. They even made a copy of your weapon to look like it's real. They even made a copy of the Night Rain. But they rarely take it out, so of course no one would pay attention to that. Not even me. Then how did you see through him? Compared to you, he's too perfect. He's meticulous and considerate. His words and actions leave a good impression on others." "Is that your criticism of me?" "No." "Well, you do seem to be lacking." Ning Yuechan smiled. She seemed to remember something and continued. "Your junior sisters Qing Ro and Wan Er also told me in private that the person looked like you at first glance, but they suspected that it wasn't you." Gu Qingshan suddenly understood. It turns out that after Qing Ro and Wan Er returned from the suspended world, they joined by Hua sect. These 2 girls were once the pride of the heavens. They were also the cream of the crop in their original world. The only unfortunate thing was that they encountered the invasion of the suspended world, causing their fates to be filled with misfortune. They fought side by side with Gu Qingshan and faced many difficulties together. During this process, Gu Qingshan gradually acknowledged these two women. Now that they've received by Hua Fairy's permission to join by Hua sect, this is something that Gu Qingshan wants to see. However, that person must have gone through meticulous preparations and was confident that he could perfectly impersonate himself. The organization he belonged to had also given him numerous tests to ensure that he wouldn't make any major mistakes before allowing him to enter this world. But even after deceiving so many people, he was easily seen through by 3 women. That's strange. How did they know that person wasn't me? Gu Qingshan asked. Ning Yuechan didn't answer Gu Qingshan's question. Recalling Qing Ro and Wan Er's words that day, she couldn't help but chuckle. Looking at Gu Qingshan, Ning Yuechan's eyes carried a faint sense of gentleness. She didn't answer and instead said, "At the time, that person looked a lot like you, but I also felt that he wasn't you. I don't know how I could tell that he wasn't right from the start either, but now that the real you has returned, I understand a bit more. You still want to criticize me?" Gu Qingshan complained. Ning Yuechan shook her head and continued. "Truthfully, when we were fighting just now, when you yelled for me to ambush you while retreating, I already felt that the real you had returned. Then you took out the dragon's tear and tried to flatter me. That's when I was sure that this was the real you. I was flattering you." Ning Yuechan softly replied, "Of course, you were afraid of my blade's will. My blade never holds back, and you were already avoiding my blades will the first time you attacked. You were afraid that you would hurt me if we really fought." Gu Qingshan went silent for a bit, then couldn't help but shake her head and sigh. No wonder that person couldn't hide from your eyes at this time. Another spirit airship flew in from the horizon. This flying boat, on the other hand, was much more eye-catching because its surface was painted with a flamboyant Lu character in green paint. Gu Qingshan looked at the airship and smiled. "This is my senior brother's airship. They're finally here." Ning Yuechan nodded. "Since your sex people have arrived, I'll be leaving first. Where are you going?" Gu Qingshan asked. "I still have the duty of patrolling and searching. I have to ensure that no cultivators from the outside world infiltrate our world for the next 2 days." "In the next 2 days?" "Yes. The Infinite Worlds Cultivation Alliance's Elder Council is currently being held at your sect. We're responsible for the world's private security. The Cultivation Alliance's Elder Council." Gu Qingshan quickly thought about what this meant. "If you have official business to attend to, then hurry up and do it. We'll talk later," he said. Ning Yuechan stared at him deeply, then leapt up and flew to the sky. She brought the patrolling cultivators away. As one flying ship left, another flying ship slowly approached. There was no sign of Qin Shaolu. Instead, 2 peerless beauties slowly landed on the calm surface of the lake. The gentle and quiet one was Qing Ro. The lively one was Wan Er. Gu Qingshan looked at them with a smile. So many things have happened in the past. Thinking back to the time they spent together in the suspended world, it felt like a lifetime ago. It's also been a long time since he last saw them. When Gu Qingshan was about to say something, the 2 girls in front of him moved first. Wan Er lightly floated in front of him, grabbed his hand, and spoke with an innocent tone. "Gongzi, it's been so long since you've returned. I've missed you so much." Qing Ro also flew in front of him, lightly pulling on Gu Qingshan's sleeve with a watery look in her eyes. She also softly asked, "Gongzi, did you miss me and little sister Wan Er?" Gu Qingshan hurriedly took a few steps back and asked in surprise, "What's going on with you two?" The 2 girls were surprised, exchanged glances, and slowly calmed down. Qing Ro showed a sincere smile and said, "So it really was you. I'm sorry. We were just trying to test you, afraid that we might run into another imposter. Hee. Now you should call me senior brother." Wan Er also smiled. Gu Qingshan sighed in relief. He suddenly remembered something. "Did you guys test the person who impersonated me like this?" he asked with a strange expression on his face. "That's right. After he returned, little sister and I kept feeling like there was something wrong with him," Qing Ro replied. "That's why we played a little trick and teased him a bit. We were able to tell right away that he was the real one," Wan Er explained. Gu Qingshan worriedly asked, "You didn't lose anything, did you?" "Don't worry, we definitely didn't lose anything. Wan Er waved her hand dismissively. How was his reaction different from mine? Gu Shan asked with interest. Wan Er smiled and answered, from his actions it shouldn't be. Ching Ro cleared her throat and pulled on Wan Er's sleeve. Wan Er shut her mouth. But when she looked at Gu Shan, her eyes were full of smiles. He isn't what? Gu Shan asked. Little sister Wan Er thinks that person isn't a good person, Ching Ro answered. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.